Chapter 1689. The Liu family's response in the blink of an eye. All the miners the Liu family had forced to work for them left. They did not have any hopes of fleeing the place in the past as formations enveloped the mountains and there were a large number of guards. Now that a mysterious god had destroyed most of the formations and even the guards themselves had been stunned, they obviously would not let such a rare opportunity slip through their fingers. They all left in a hurry. Since they managed to reach sainthood or even the origin realm, the miners were obviously not stupid. Although they knew that it was extremely likely that the Liu family would hunt them down for running away, they knew even better that they would not be able to avoid death either if they remained, especially after what had happened in the mountains today. The miners would leak the news that this mine was a mid-grade divine crystal mine or even a high-grade divine crystal mine. It would cause huge problems for the Liu family, so the Liu family would never spare them. The guards who had reached the origin realm did not chase the fleeing miners. Instead, they stood at the bottom of the chasm in surprise and doubt. Jian Chen's previous words had affected them greatly. What are you staring for? Go chase them down. Don't let them escape. If the news of the high-grade divine crystal gets leaked, all of us will suffer the most severe punishments. Only now did the old man return to his senses. He immediately yelled at the surrounding guards. He was worried, and his face was pale. He understood that the clan was probably in trouble now. The surrounding guards all looked at one another. The light in their eyes flickered as they all hesitated. They had become guards of the Liu family so that they could have something that would shield them, allowing them to cultivate in peace. If the Liu family could no longer shield them anymore, they would not continue serving the Liu family idiotically. In particular, the fact that the Liu family possessed a mid-grade divine crystal mine at the very least, coupled with the warnings from the god, had made them realize that the organization they relied on would probably fall before long. Continuing to serve the Liu family would only cost them their lives in the end. Captain Feng looked around and sighed inside. However, his expression remained the same and he called out coldly, "Pursue, everyone, pursue them." The captain obviously held much more authority in the eyes of the guards than the old man. With his orders, the guards immediately charged into the sky, hurrying off in the direction where the miners had fled off to as quickly as possible. Of course, most of them changed their clothes as quickly as they could as they pursued the miners. They even changed the space rings that they wore, and when they caught up with the flying miners, they did not attack or touch them at all. Instead, they continued onwards without slowing down, directly overtaking the miners and vanishing off into the distance. Of course, there were a few guards who were loyal to the Liu family. They slaughtered as many of the fleeing miners as they could. Obviously, as most of the miners were still at sainthood, they were completely helpless against the massacre from the origin realm guards. A large number of them were immediately slain mercilessly. Without delay, 3 tremendous presences suddenly descended on the depths of the chasm. The 3 godhood elders from the Liu family had finally arrived, but they all became stern when they saw the 3 destroyed formations. Greetings to the elders, the captain and the old man who still remained bowed politely. What happened here? One of the elders questioned coldly. Elder, we just found high-grade divine crystals, and then we were attacked by a god. The old man told the entire story without bending any truths. What? You found high-grade divine crystals here? The 3 elders were shocked and became ecstatic. However, their faces became extremely ugly before long. It would have been a tremendous piece of news to the Liu family if the appearance of the high-grade divine crystal had not been leaked. With such a great resource, their clan could completely exceed the 3 other organizations before long and become the absolute ruler of the region. Even those who resided in the provincial city would not be able to do anything to them. However, now that this news was leaked, it would become a problem for the Liu family, a huge problem. We have to report this matter to the ancestor as soon as possible. We'll leave the god who fled here to the ancestor to deal with. However, all the miners who escaped from here must be eliminated. Even the guards who left our clan cannot remain. Kill them all. We have to keep this matter a secret, an elder said gruffly and immediately reported the matter to the Liu family. Afterwards, the three elders did not hesitate at all, personally turning against the miners and guards who had fled. Their souls could cover an extremely vast range, and many of the guards and miners still remained in their area of detection. They could even clearly sense which guards still remained loyal to the Lu family and which guards had abandoned the clan. At the same time, the patriarch who was in the meeting received the news from the three elders as well. His face immediately changed, and he stopped the meeting. He contacted all the elders in the clan through a communication technique. Immediately, the 5 other elders who watched over the clan left their residences and hurried over to the Dark Cloud Mountains as quickly as possible. They also took part in the culling. Godhood elders usually watched over the clan as they formed the peak strength of the clan. Rarely did they ever fight, and even if they did, it would be against opponents of the same strength. They would never touch Origin Realm cultivators or even weaker cultivators at sainthood in normal times. However, the appearance of high-grade divine crystals in the Dark Cloud Mountains was just too important. All of the elders who usually watched over the clan had been mobilized to cover up the matter. Even though an unknown god had already learned of the matter, it would still be better the fewer people who knew about this. However, the patriarch did not sit around either. He passed on the news of what had happened in the Dark Cloud Mountains to the ancestor of the Lu family. Currently, the ancestor was flying through the sky. He was on his journey to the royal city. When he received the message from the patriarch, his face suddenly changed as well. He came to a halt as the light in his eyes flickered. After hesitating for a while, the ancestor did not end up returning. He continued towards the royal city. At the same time, he sent a message back to the patriarch of the Lu family, lock down the information and also look into who that god is. Jian Shen traveled away with Yi Xing. Only after traveling very far away from the Dark Cloud Mountains did he descend on a mountain. He placed Yi Xing on the ground and said, "This is already the territory of the Mo clan. It's several million kilometers away from the territory of the Lu family. Be careful, and the Lu family will struggle to find you." Yi Xing bowed towards Jian Shen politely and said gratefully, "Thank you for saving my life, senior. Please tell me your name, so if I ever have a day when I become great as well, I can return senior's kindness." "There's no need for that. You told me about the high-grade divine crystals, while I saved you. It's a fair exchange. You can keep these divine crystals for cultivation. It's best if you don't appear in public for now, so that the Lu family can't find you. If nothing goes wrong, the Lu family will cease to exist within the next few years," said Jian Shen. At the same time, he gave Yi Xing a space ring that contained some divine crystals. "Thank you, senior." After separating with Yi Xing, Jian Shen returned to the Mo clan as quickly as he could. In the 7th hall of the Mo clan, Jian Shen and Shen Jian tidied through the space rings they had received from the miners in the Dark Cloud Mountains. They emptied out the divine crystals inside. Chapter 1690. Distributing the divine crystals. There were over 1,000 space rings, and each one contained quite a few divine crystals. Some had as many as 4,000 to 5,000, while some had as few as a few dozens. Mid-grade divine crystals would appear from time to time as well, but they comprised less than 100 of the total number. After a total count, the end number of low-grade divine crystals from the miners exceeded 900,000, with close to 100 mid-grade divine crystals. With so many divine crystals stacked together, it seemed like a small mountain. To Jian Shen and Shen Jian, who had only ever possessed a little over 100,000 divine crystals at most, the mountainous pile was clearly a little overwhelming. "I never thought that these divine crystals would come so easily. It has only been how long, yet we've obtained almost 1,000,000 low-grade divine crystals without much effort at all. Are these divine crystals enough for you to reach mid-deity?" Jian Shen looked at Shen Jian. Shen Jian stared at the pile of divine crystals. He pondered for a while before he replied, "It should be enough." With a flip of his hand, another space ring appeared in Jian Shen's palm. He smiled, "If that's not enough, there are more in here. The divine crystals in here might even be enough for you to go from mid-deity to late deity." Shen Jian raised an eyebrow when he heard that. He stared at Jian Shen in surprise and asked, Just how many divine crystals did you rob from the Lu family's mine this time? Have a look yourself. All the divine crystals are in here. Jian Chen passed the space ring to Shenjian. He had taken this space ring from the old man. As he was the supervisor of the mine, he would gather all the divine crystals from the miners once in a while. After that, he would hand them up to the clan at set intervals. As a result, there were very many divine crystals in the old man's possession. When Shenjian accepted the space ring and looked through the divine crystals in there, he leapt in fright because the amount of low-grade divine crystals inside the ring had reached over a terrifying number of 2 million. There were even several hundred mid-grade divine crystals and even a fist-sized high-grade divine crystal. So many. Shenjian's face immediately changed. In particular, when he saw the fist-sized high-grade divine crystal, he struggled to maintain his composure. The Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine. I believe the various major organizations will learn about this very soon. Even the greater clans in the Dong'an province don't possess high-grade divine crystals, so there'll be a great battle when the time comes. Shenjian, spend the next few days cultivating. Once we're strong enough, we can try to win over some rights to the mine over the more powerful clans. The mine will be extremely useful to us, so we have to try to obtain the mining rights, Jian Chen said. Alright, I'll immediately begin my secluded cultivation. My comprehension of laws has already completely exceeded my current cultivation level. I just lacked origin energy. Now that I have these divine crystals, I should be able to break through without delay, said Shenjian. Next, he immediately took close to 1 million low-grade divine crystals with him for cultivation. He devoted himself to increasing his strength. Meanwhile, Jian Chen brought the space ring with over 2 million low-grade divine crystals into the Bright Moon Divine Hall. In the Bright Moon Divine Hall, Shengguan Mu'er, Nubis, Xiao Jin, Xiao Ling, the White Tiger, Rui Jin, Hong Lian, Heiyu, Houston, and so on were all in secluded cultivation. Ever since Jian Chen entered the Saints' world, they could clearly sense a change in the laws of the world inside the Bright Moon Divine Hall. As a result, they basically spent their entire time in seclusion. Their strength had all increased evidently. After arriving inside the hall, Jian Chen roused everyone from cultivation without any hesitation, gathering them all together. Big brother, when are you going to let us out? I want to see the outside world so much. I want to see if I can find Master. Xiao Ling ran over excitedly when she saw Jian Chen and clung onto his arm tightly. The other people all looked towards Jian Chen as well and asked him about the situation outside. The situation outside still hasn't stabilized. There'll be quite a large battle before long, with gods participating. It'll be very difficult to keep yourself safe without strength at godhood, so for now, I can only trouble you all by having you remain in the Bright Moon Divine Hall to cultivate, Jian Chen said to everyone. What? There'll be a battle involving gods? Jian Chen, you have to be careful. We were still of some help back on the Tianyuan continent, but we can't help you at all in the Saints' world now. Instead, we're just a burden to you, Rui Jin sighed gently. He seemed slightly dejected. Hong Lian and Heiyu were not in fantastic spirits either. They were once the supreme experts on the Tianyuan continent, yet they had become a burden instead after coming to the Saints' world. They were even the weakest people within the Bright Moon Divine Hall. They found it very difficult to adapt to the huge change. Jian Chen, it's very difficult for us to help you now. You have to be careful in the Saints' world. Don't forget that you're not just fighting for yourself now. If something happens to you, we'll all be doomed in here as well, Shengguan Mu'er said in concern. She was not someone who feared death. She said these words because she hoped that Jian Chen would be careful and avoid desperate fights against other people. Jian Chen smiled. He asked about everyone's well-being before throwing down 100,000 low-grade divine crystals on the ground. He said, these divine crystals contain pure origin energy. You can absorb these divine crystals for future cultivation. I believe it won't be long before you reach godhood. What dense origin energy! Everyone's eyes lit up when they sensed the origin energy hidden within the low-grade divine crystals, and they all cried out. Fantastic! With these divine crystal, my strength will be able to skyrocket. Houston's face was filled with joy. A few of them had managed to reach St. King on the Tianyuan continent, where origin energy had vanished and the laws of the world were affected, making cultivation extremely difficult. They could be described as prodigies. Now that they had come to the saints' world where origin energy was abundant and the laws of the world were complete, their improvement would definitely be extremely shocking with the assistance of the divine crystals. Suddenly, there was a flash, and a fist-sized, ant-like beast appeared beside the low-grade divine crystals. The beast hovered in the air by beating its wings as it shone with 3 different colors. Its large, intelligent eyes stared at the pile of divine crystals without blinking at all and seemed to be salivating over the divine crystals. Afterwards, with a flash, it immediately arrived on Jian Chen's shoulder, moving extremely quickly. It rubbed its small head gently against Jian Chen's cheek, trying to curry up to him. What speed! I failed to sense it at all, Houston sighed in amazement as he stared at the tiny beast. Although the tiny beast had only reached the origin realm recently, Houston felt like if he began to fight seriously against the tiny beast, he would not be its opponent, even with his Empyrean demon arts and the various secret techniques he had grasped. You also want these divine crystals? Jian Chen stared at the tiny beast in surprise. Although the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast had yet to assume a human form, it possessed intelligence no less than that of a human adult. It nodded cleverly in response to Jian Chen's question as it looked towards Jian Chen eagerly. Jian Chen smiled. With a wave of his hand, he threw down another 10,000 low-grade divine crystals on the floor and pointed towards them. I'll give you these. The 7-colored heaven-devouring beast's eyes lit up, and it directly inhaled at the pile. The 10,000 divine crystals immediately flew towards its mouth, and the space around the divine crystals pulsed violently. The divine crystals grew smaller and smaller in the pulses of space, and in just a single moment, all the crystals shrunk to a tiny size before the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast devoured it all in a single gulp. Shangguan Mu'er and everyone else stared at the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast in shock. For them, they needed to absorb the energy within the divine crystals one by one slowly, while the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast had directly gulped down 10,000 divine crystals in a single mouthful. This sight stunned all of them. Chapter 1691. The Lu family's meeting. After devouring the 10,000 low-grade divine crystals, the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast continued to stare at Jian Chen as if it had not had enough. Jian Chen used his finger to flick the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast's head. He joked, "You sure aren't polite, little guy. Aren't you afraid of eating till you burst?" The 7-colored heaven-devouring beast rubbed against Jian Chen's cheek forcefully and stared at Jian Chen pitifully. It clearly wanted more divine crystals from Jian Chen. Jian Chen, if I've observed correctly, it should be a divine beast. Every single divine beast is blessed by the heavens and possesses extremely terrifying talent. Both its rate of growth and battle prowess is extremely shocking. You can even describe it as heaven-defying. Only those prodigies of large clans and sects can stand against them with the same level of cultivation. As a matter of fact, many of these prodigies even fall short. If you raise it well, this divine beast will become a very powerful helper in the future. Fairy Hao Yu's voice rang out. It's just a pity that this divine beast refuses to follow me, or I would definitely pour my heart out into raising it. Jian Chen smiled gently. At the same time, he glanced at the crystal casket nearby. Even now, he still felt rather doubtful and sighed, confused as to why the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast had followed Kaya out of its own free will, and it even remained by her side without taking a single step away to protect her while she was unconscious. Although the winged tiger god that was also a divine beast had followed Jian Chen, the circumstances were completely different. Back then, Rum Guinness had entrusted the winged tiger god to him before it had even opened its eyes. It had grown with him, going through several trials and tribulations. Without any exaggeration, he could say that he had single-handedly raised the winged tiger god, so their connection would naturally be extremely deep. However, Jianshen refused to believe that Kaiya and the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast had gone through something like that in the past before. People have fortuitous encounters that belong to them. Maybe this is Kaiya's fortuitous encounter, Jianshen thought. That was the only way he could explain it. You have to take over that high-grade divine crystal mine. I'm in desperate need of origin energy to reconstruct my body. Once I have a perfect body, I'll be able to help you solve some of your problems, Fairy Haiyu continued. The amount of origin energy she required to reconstruct a perfect body was extremely tremendous. Jianshen had obtained over 1 million low-grade divine crystals, but it was far from enough. I won't give up on the mine because I am in desperate need of high-grade divine crystals for cultivation as well, Jianshen said. He threw another 10,000 low-grade divine crystals to the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast before leaving the Bright Moon Divine Hall. Only after devouring 20,000 low-grade divine crystals did the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast show a sliver of satisfaction. It leaned on the crystal casket and began absorbing the origin energy within the divine crystals while its presence gradually increased with its constant absorption. It absorbed the crystals so quickly that it shocked everyone in the Bright Moon Divine Hall. Jianshen returned to the 7th hall in the Mo clan. He entered seclusion in another room. Right now, he had not found enough divine crystals for him to make any progress with his chaotic body. If he could not break through, then his strength would not increase at all even if he absorbed all the divine crystals he possessed. At most, it would just make his chaotic Niden slightly larger. If that was the case, he might as well give the divine crystals to Shinjian. That way, the strength on his side could increase the most. Jianshen sat on the ground of the room. Close to 10,000 low-grade divine crystals were stacked beside him. There's a crack in my chaotic Niden, and because of this crack, I can only use 80% of my strength. However, fixing the crack isn't difficult. I just need enough energy to close it up and make the Niden perfect again, Jianshen thought. He immediately grabbed a handful of divine crystals and began absorbing the origin energy in them to fix his chaotic Niden. In the past, without any divine crystals, he would have to spend an extremely long time to fix his chaotic Niden just by absorbing the origin energy in the surroundings. As a result, he had always put the matter off. Only after obtaining so many divine crystals from the Lu family's mine did he have the opportunity to fix his chaotic Niden. As Jianshen mended his chaotic Niden, the elders of the Lu family who had ventured out to kill the people who had fled all returned to the clan. At this moment, the patriarch and the 8 elders all gathered in a single discussion hall. They were all stern, and they had even enveloped the hall in a powerful formation. They took such measures to prevent anyone from eavesdropping on what they would be discussing. They were extremely cautious. Patriarch, according to the numbers, all the miners and the guards that escaped have been killed, aside from the miner who the suspected god took away. Even the guards who are still loyal to our clan have been isolated, an elder said to the patriarch. The patriarch sat at the end of the table in worry. He sighed gently. The appearance of high-grade divine crystals in the Dark Cloud Mountains should have been something worth celebrating over. It holds much significance to our Lu family. I never thought a mess like this would happen at such a crucial time. Sigh. Right now, what I worry the most about is whether there are any spies sent by other organizations among the guards and whether those spies have leaked the news of the high-grade divine crystals before we could contain the situation. If they did leak it, we wouldn't be able to keep the mine anymore. I'm actually not concerned about whether that suspected god leaks the news because it won't bring him any benefits if he does leak it. Patriarch, may I ask if we've discovered the identity of the mysterious expert? An elder asked. The patriarch shook his head. We have limited information regarding the identity of the mysterious expert, apart from the fact that he has comprehended the laws of the sword. And there's only one god in our region who has comprehended the laws of the sword, which is the one from the Audiobook sword sect. However, when this god attacked our mine, the sky was filled with snow. This makes it seem unlikely that it is the one from the Audiobook sword sect. Of course, we can't just ignore the fact that the Audiobook sword sect might be using some method to purposefully mislead us. It said that when the mysterious expert left, he said that our Lu family would cease to exist before long. Even if the Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine, I don't think those powerful clans will make any trouble for us as long as we just hand it over. Looks like the mysterious expert probably has some disagreements with us, said a red-robed old man. The patriarch shook his head again. That's even more impossible. We've never provoked a god, nor have we offended any organizations with gods. Apart from the whole matter with Lu Fei's betrayal and the Mo clan, I really can't think of any other organization that we've fallen out with. Suddenly, the patriarch's voice paused. A gleam of light flashed through the patriarch's eyes, and he said solemnly, "It's the Mo clan. How could I have forgotten you? Doesn't that mysterious expert from the Mo clan just happen to possess the strength of a god? And he just happens to have comprehended the laws of the sword as well. The ancestor suffered greatly at his hand before." The expressions of the 8 elders all changed slightly. One of them asked, "Is it the Mo clan?" The patriarch of the Lu family snorted coldly, "It's very likely to be them. Apart from the one from the Automo's sword sect, there's only the mysterious expert from the Mo clan who is both a god and has comprehended the laws of the sword. Although there are some discrepancies compared to what the ancestor described, it's possible to make them up with some disguises. Oh right, I suddenly remember that there's a medium-quality saint artifact from the Maple Leaf Pavilion of Maple Leaf City called the Flying Snow Sword. It was forged by Master Xian Nong in the provincial city. It's said that the sword will cause heavy snow when used in battle," said an elder. The patriarch looked towards the elder and asked, "Elder Yun, please pay a visit to Maple Leaf City immediately and check whether the flying snow sword has been sold or not and whether the buyer is the mysterious expert from the Mo clan." "All right, I'll go immediately." Elder Yun immediately rose to his feet and left. Chapter 1692, Investigations. The patriarch did not end the meeting after Elder Yun headed off to Maple Leaf City. He said to the 7 elders who were still seated, "Elders, please accompany me as we wait for Elder Yun's news." Without any doubt, the identity of the mysterious god who attacked our divine crystal mine is extremely important to us, the patriarch said extremely politely. The elders all possessed extremely great statuses in the Lu family. Even he, the patriarch of the clan, had to treat them politely. He was unable to forcefully order them to do anything. The elders also understood the severity of the matter, so after exchanging a few more polite words with the patriarch, they closed their eyes. They waited for Elder Yun's return. The next day, Elder Yun returned to the Lu family travel-worn. His return immediately attracted the gazes of the patriarch and the 7 other elders. They all stared at him, and the patriarch asked eagerly, "Elder Yun, have you investigated it? Was the flying snow sword from Maple Leaf City bought by the mysterious expert of the Mo clan?" This news was extremely important to the Lu family. If the flying snow sword really had ended up in the hands of the Mo clan, they could basically confirm that the mysterious god who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains was from the Mo clan. Otherwise, it would mean that the Lu family had gained a 3rd god as an enemy. Elder Yun arrived at his seat and sat down. Only then did he speak, "I've investigated it thoroughly. The flying snow sword of Maple Leaf City was indeed bought and the buyer was the Mo clan." The patriarch became relieved when he heard this news. He said, "Looks like it was the mysterious expert from the Mo clan who attacked our mine. He was also the person who said that our clan would cease to exist before long. Fortunately, we haven't offended another god." The patriarch glanced past the 8 elders and continued, "Although the Mo clan basically has 2 gods now, and they are able to completely crush our Lu family, they won't dare to move against us because they're also afraid that we'll leak the news of God King Duanmu's tomb if they force us to the end of the road. They won't be able to get anything out of a situation like that. However, please do not worry, elders. The days which the Mo clan will continue to exist are limited. Once the ancestor returns, it will be difficult for the Mo clan to avoid destruction even if they have 2 gods." After dispersing the meeting, the patriarch reported the identity of the mysterious expert who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains to the ancestor as soon as possible. "Do not act recklessly. We'll settle our debt with the Mo clan once I return. At the same time, pay close attention to the people that the Mo clan has stationed in the provincial city. I don't wish for the news of God King Duanmu's tomb to be leaked by the people hidden within the city once we spend so much effort in wiping out the Mo clan, ordered the ancestor. At the same time, he thought, Mo clan, do you really think that I don't know you've stationed people in the provincial city in the past? It's just a pity that my Lu family has grasped the identities of all the people you've stationed in the city. Don't you think about threatening us with leaking news about God King Duanmu's tomb? There was a very large manor in the provincial city of Dong'an province. A dignified, middle-aged man in luxurious robes currently sat in a study as he read a book. He was focused, and his brows would furrow from time to time. Patriarch, Zhang-Yi wishes to see you. At this moment, a deep voice rang out from outside. The middle-aged man gathered his attention when he heard that. He immediately closed the book and said, "Come in." The door to the study was pushed open gently, and a man in black clothes walked in. As soon as he entered the study, the middle-aged man erected a barrier around the entire room with a wave of his hand. He stared at Zhang-Yi with much interest and asked, "Zhang-Yi, what other important news is there?" Zhang-Yi bowed towards the middle-aged man and said, "Patriarch, we've grasped the identities of the two people that the Lu family have been searching for. Shen Jian only broke through to godhood recently, and the two of them currently reside in the Mo clan." He only broke through to godhood recently? Doesn't that mean that this Shen Jian was only at reciprocity before? I don't believe the Lu family will find any interest in an origin realm cultivator for no reason. Zhang-Yi, have you understood why the Lu family is searching for the two of them? The middle-aged man asked. Zhang-Yi said, "We still haven't found out the Lu family's intentions in searching for the two of them yet, but they were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan, Mo Yan, when they were heavily injured. Then recently, Shen Jian broke through to godhood in the Mo clan. The patriarch had even specially erected an elder's residence for him. The two of them were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan while they were heavily injured? Do their wounds have something to do with the Lu family?" The middle-aged man murmured as he pondered. "Patriarch, I've also learnt that recently, Jian Chen and Shen Jian visited Maple Leaf City and were interested in the flying snow sword, but they did not buy it at that time. Once they left Maple Leaf City, the sword was bought by the Mo clan. And yesterday, the Dark Cloud Mountains of the Lu family was attacked by a mysterious expert that was believed to be a god. The mysterious expert comprehended the laws of the sword, and when he fought, heavy snow began to fall. I've specially investigated this and found out that there are no famous experts who have comprehended the laws of the sword who are accompanied by snow when they fight. As a result, we can be certain that it was caused by the flying snow sword," said Zhang-Yi. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed. He said, "Zhang-Yi, are you saying that the mysterious expert who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains was Jian Chen who was saved by the Mo clan?" "That is only my guess," said Zhang Yu. He paused before continuing, "Patriarch, there's something else that's very important that I need to report to you. High-grade divine crystals have appeared in the Lu family's Dark Cloud Mountains." "What? High-grade divine crystals?" The middle-aged man was stunned before becoming surprised. Low-grade mines basically always produced low-grade divine crystals, while a few mid-grade divine crystals would appear from time to time. However, they numbered extremely few. If high-grade divine crystals could be mined, it would mean that the mine had reached mid-grade at the very least or even high-grade. Has this piece of news been leaked? The middle-aged man immediately asked. He was extremely stern. All the miners from the mountains were slain, as well as a major portion of the guards. The remaining people are all under the Lu family's control, so no one else should know aside from the upper echelon of the Lu family and the suspected god, said Zhang-Yi. Good, good, good. Zhang-Yi, you've done something great. However, we can't let the news of the high-grade divine crystals leak out no matter what. Although the Lu family has locked down the news as well, there still might be ways it can be leaked, so Zhang-Yi, I want you to mobilize all the power you can to assist the Lu family in locking down the news of the high-grade divine crystal. You have to ensure that the news does not spread across the province, said the middle-aged man. Don't worry, Patriarch. I understand the severity of the matter, so I've made arrangements long ago, said Zhang Yi. After hesitating slightly, he continued, Patriarch, according to the information I possess, I suspect that the ancestor of the Lu family failed to retrieve the treasure of the Lu family stolen by Lu Fei. Instead, I believe that it has ended up in the hands of Jian Chen and Shen Jian. It's extremely likely that they battled the ancestor, which was why they became heavily injured in the end and were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan. This can explain why the Lu family is secretly searching for the two of them. If the person who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains really is Jian Chen, your suspicions are reasonable. He indeed has that power, the middle-aged man said in thought. The light in his eyes flickered, and after thinking some more, he gave Zhang Yi a firm order, Zhang Yi, make the Mo clan a target of heavy surveillance. If the treasure of the Lu family really has ended up in their hands, the Mo clan should possess 2 pieces now. They only lack the piece from the Ando clan. Chapter 1693, Mending the Niden in the blink of an eye. 3 months had passed. During that time, the Mo clan and the Lu family were relatively peaceful. Although the Lu family had confirmed that the person who attacked the mine was from the Mo clan, they did not act recklessly. As a matter of fact, they acted as if nothing had happened at all. However, the Dark Cloud Mountains had become a heavily fortified place for the Lu family. Not only did they repair the formations as quickly as possible, but they even sped up the excavation of the divine crystals. The miners before were basically sainthood cultivators that the Lu family had captured from various places, but now, all the miners were people from the Lu family. Basically, all of them had reached the origin realm, with only a minimal number of sainthood cultivators. With the increase in strength of the miners, the rate at which divine crystals were being excavated became several times faster as well. These people were obviously under the strict surveillance of the Lu family to prevent them from leaking the news. At the same time, a ruddy old man was hiding within the Dark Cloud Mountains. He paid close attention to all the activity in the mines. This old man was the ancestor of the Ando clan, a god in both name and strength. The ancestor of the Lu family was on his journey to the royal city, so he had the ancestor of the Ando clan, Ando Fu, watch over the place. He took this measure to prevent the mine from being attacked by Jian Chen again. In the recent days, more and more high-grade divine crystals have been excavated while the number of low-grade divine crystals have only decreased. Looks like it's extremely likely that this mine is high-grade. Even with the entire Dong'an province in perspective, not a single high-grade divine crystal mine has ever appeared. It's just a huge pity that it's impossible for my Ando clan and the Lu family to keep this mine with our strength. The only thing we can do is excavate as many high-grade divine crystals as we can before the mine gets discovered by the more powerful clans in the province. Ando Fu sighed inside. He felt helpless. A high-grade divine crystal mine, even if it was only a small one, was an extremely juicy piece of property in the Dong'an province. It was enough for the greater clans to wage wars with one another. Jian Chen slowly opened his eyes as he roused from his cultivation in a room within the 7th hall of the Mo clan. He smiled. After 3 months of cultivation and several 100,000 low-grade divine crystals, he had finally mended the crack in his chaotic Niden, allowing his strength to finally return to its peak. The 9th layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to deity. Even though it was only deity, Jian Chen could use the power of the chaotic body and chaotic force, as well as his comprehension of the laws of the sword that had far exceeded deity. As a result, he could fight early gods. Back when he fought against the ancestor of the Lu family, he could only utilize 80% of his strength as his chaotic Niden was damaged. He was only able to hold his ground temporarily and with great difficulty against the ancestor. Even after drawing the twin swords, he was not the ancestor's opponent in the end. However, now that his chaotic Niden had been repaired, Jian Chen was confident that if he faced off against the ancestor of the Lu family again, he would not be dominated like last time even if he could not achieve victory. It's up to Shen Jian now. Although Shen Jian doesn't cultivate the chaotic body, I feel like the cultivation method he practices is of a great origin as well. His comprehension of the way of the sword is no worse than mine, or maybe it's even greater than mine. Once he reaches mid-deity, he should possess battle prowess comparable to the ancestor of the Lu family as well. At that time, we should be able to kill the ancestor if we work together. He won't be able to escape, Jian Chen thought. In reality, ever since Shen Jian had reached godhood, even if it was only early deity, their combined strength had already exceeded the ancestor of the Lu families. They had not moved against him yet because they would not be able to anything if the ancestor fled, even though they were confident about defeating him. Only after Shen Jian reached mid-deity would they be able to stop the ancestor of the Lu family from fleeing. Jian Chen walked out of the 7th hall. He stood at the great doorway and overlooked most of the Mo clan from above. Unknowingly, it had already been a few months since he came to the Mo clan, yet today was the first time he had properly taken a look at the large estate he had stayed in for so long in. Even in the surroundings of the residence, there was a group of several dozen Origin Realm guards, with 2 peak reciprocity guards at the doorway. They discovered Jian Chen the moment he stepped out of the hall. They glanced past him coldly from time to time, revealing a sliver of envy in their gaze as they stared at his back. Due to Jian Chen's cultivation method, even the early god from the Lu family was unable to tell his strength accurately as long as he did not begin fighting. Naturally, no one in the Mo clan knew Jian Chen's true strength. Everyone in the Mo clan only assumed him to be at reciprocity from how he was referred to as brother by Shen Jian before he had reached godhood, as well as the fact that he did not possess the pressure of a godhood expert. Strength at reciprocity was not enough to reside in an elder's hall, so in the eyes of the guards, Jian Chen was completely relying on his relationship with Shen Jian to be able to move through the 7th hall so freely. It would naturally raise the envy of many guards, and some of them even became jealous. This was because every single hall possessed formations. These formations could rapidly gather the surrounding origin energy, so cultivating within an elder's hall would be several times faster than cultivating outside. Of course, cultivating by absorbing the surrounding origin energy would not be able to match up to cultivating through absorbing divine crystals. Brother, may I ask if anything has happened in the recent months? At this moment, Jian Chen clasped his hands towards the 2 peak reciprocity guards at the doorway and asked rather politely. There hasn't been anything. Everything has been the same, one of the guards replied indifferently. If Shen Jian was asking him instead, he definitely would have responded politely, but as Jian Chen was only a reciprocity cultivator in his eyes, he did not speak too enthusiastically even though he did not want to offend him. Everything is the same. Hasn't the news of the Dark Cloud Mountains been leaked? Jian Chen thought. He found this to be rather unexpected. It's fine if it hasn't been leaked. The longer the fact that the Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine is kept a secret, the more beneficial it is to me, thought Jian Chen. He also desired the divine crystal mine in the Dark Cloud Mountains very much, just that he still did not have the opportunity to take over it. If the news of the mines had been leaked, it would definitely lead to a fight between the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province. Once they took part, he would not be able to hold his ground against them even if he worked together with the ancestor of the Mo clan. This was because the more powerful clans possessed mid and late gods or even peak gods. The Lu family must be rushing their mining operations. It's best if I don't go aggravate them right now. After all, if I make them panic, it'll be no benefit to me if they just decide to take the initiative and offer up the mines to a more powerful clan in the Dong'an province. Chapter 1694, Shi breaks through right now. Whether it was the Lu family or Jian Chen, they were all in great need of time. The Lu family needed time to mine as many divine crystals as possible, while Jian Chen needed time to increase the strength on his side. The high-grade divine crystals hidden within the Dark Cloud Mountains were just too valuable. Even with the Lu family locking down the information as much as they could, everyone understood that it was impossible for this matter to remain a secret. One day, the matter would be exposed. By then, it would no longer just be the 4 organizations who would come forth to fight over the mine, but the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province would get involved as well. Looks like claiming that mine won't be easy, Jian Chen thought. With his current strength, he would not be too pressured if he had to fight against early gods. He might even be able to kill early gods when working together with Xinjian. However, once he came across mid-gods or even late gods, they would not be easy to deal with. Even if he had Xinjian to work together with, they probably would not be able to defeat late gods. Only if my chaotic body could reach the next layer. The 9th layer of the chaotic body gives me the cultivation equivalent to deity in the saint's world. If I can reach the 10th layer, then I'll become a god. With the chaotic body, I'll be invincible against any opponents with the same cultivation. Even against peak gods, I'll be able to dominate them, Jian Chen thought. However, he also understood that the energy he required for each layer of the chaotic body would be several times or even a dozen times more than the last layer. The energy required to reach the 10th layer would be extremely terrifying. He would not be able to find the cultivation resources he needed for it in a short amount of time. Even Xinjian required around 1 million low-grade divine crystals to go from early to mid-deity, and he had no idea just how many low-grade divine crystals he needed to go from mid to late deity. The number of divine crystals required for him to go from late deity to god would be astronomical, yet to reach the 10th layer of his chaotic body, he would require at least 10 times the amount Xinjian would need to go from deity to god. If I have the mine in the dark cloud mountains all to myself, I should be able to reach the 10th layer of the chaotic body with ease. Jian Chen shook his head and no longer thought of the matter. The Dark Cloud Mountains was the only high-grade divine crystal mine that had been discovered in the Dong'an province. Unless he possessed enough strength to fend off all the powerful clans in the entire province, the mine would not be fated to be his. I just hope that the Lu family can excavate as much as possible. I'll directly go find them after Xinjian breaks through. At this moment, the origin energy in the surroundings began to pulse violently. All the origin energy in the surrounding radius of 10,000 kilometers seemed to have been caught in a tremendous suction force, gathering over from all directions and forming a tremendous swirl of energy above the Mo clan in the blink of an eye. It was all sucked away by one of the 7 halls that the elders resided in. The abnormal movements of the origin energy had attracted the attention of everyone in the clan. Whether it was the patriarch or the 5 cultivating elders, all their eyes snapped open, and they emerged from their residences with a flash. They all looked towards the hall where the swirl of energy had condensed over. Jian Chen also glanced over. He stared at the hall for a while and murmured, "This Shiyu's talent really is impressive. She has even reached late deity. If you give her some more time, she'll become a god." Not only were gods' existences regarded as ancestors in this region, but they were also peak experts even across the entire Dong'an province. Jian Chen had already learnt from the patriarch of the Mo clan that there were no overgods at all in the entire Dong'an province. Yuer has broken through again, the patriarch smiled happily. The 5 other elders all felt envy inside. Shiyu's talent is just too outstanding. When the patriarch saved her from outside, she was just an infant who had almost lost her life. Back then, I was already at mid-deity, yet now that Shiyu has reached late deity, I'm still stuck at mid-deity. Shiyu has only been cultivating for a little over 2,000 years at most. Although the patriarch used a large number of heavenly resources and other resources to nurture her, her cultivation rate is still really astonishing. It's just a pity that our clan's strength is limited, so we can't provide resources like those large clans and sections. If we sent Shiyu to a large sect, she probably would have become a god long ago with the talent she has displayed and the guidance of a master. The elders of the Mo clan all sighed in amazement. They all experienced some regret. They all believed that having Shiyu remain in the Mo clan was just spoiling her talent. The swirl of energy above Shiyu's residence only gradually dispersed after a few hours. A while later, the door to the residence slowly opened, and Shiyu slowly walked out in white clothes. Congratulations, Elder Shiyu, on breaking through and reaching a new level of cultivation. Jian Chen clasped his hands towards Shiyu and congratulated her from the bottom of his heart. Shiyu, you've shaken all of us off your tail now. We're no longer as great as you now. The 5 other elders all came up to congratulate her as well. They all smiled, experiencing joy from the bottom of their hearts. Sister Shiyu, you've become more powerful again. I knew sister would be the most powerful. Mo Yen and the patriarch of the Mo clan walked over from afar. Shiyu nodded indifferently towards Jian Chen before conversing with the other elders. She smiled as she spoke and was rather polite. Jian Chen paid no heed to Shiyu's attitude. After congratulating her, he turned around and left, walking past the patriarch. The patriarch clasped his fist politely towards Jian Chen. He also understood that unless he exposed his strength at godhood, no one in the Mo clan would place any particular focus on him. The patriarch was only polite to him because of Shenjian. This was because the Mo clan did not lack origin realm cultivators. They did not even place much importance on peak reciprocity cultivators unless they broke through to godhood. Although peak reciprocity was only a single step away from godhood, the step was as wide as a chasm. It had stopped countless peak reciprocity cultivators. There were even many peak reciprocity cultivators who would never be able to comprehend laws and reach godhood, passing away from old age in the end. Obviously, Jian Chen would not purposefully expose his strength just to obtain some status in the Mo clan. Jian Chen, you've emerged too? I've come looking for you so many times, but every time, the guard said you were in seclusion. Mo Yen naturally discovered Jian Chen and said happily. Her eyes then swiveled, and she seemed to think of something. She looked at him strangely and whispered, now that Sister Shiyu has broken through, you've emerged. Tell me honestly, have you secretly fallen in love with Sister Shiyu? Chapter 1695. The young master of the Audiobook sword sect Jian Chen shook his head bitterly in response. This girl's imagination really could run wild. Yenner, do not be rude, the patriarch lectured from one side. He was stern, making him seem extremely strict. Mo Yen stuck out her tongue and said cleverly, Dad's angry, so I won't say any more. But Jian Chen, you really have to try harder and break through to godhood as soon as possible. Only once you become a deity do you have the right to pursue Sister Shiyu. Throwing that down, Mo Yen followed the patriarch towards Shiyu. Jian Chen smiled indifferently as he stared at Mo Yan's back before walking towards Shenjian's residence with his hands on his back. He paid no mind to Mo Yan's words. At this moment, Jian Chen's eyes narrowed, and he turned his head towards the entrance of the Mo clan. At this moment, a golden carriage quickly flew towards the Mo clan from afar. 6 horse-like beasts were towing the carriage at the front as they flapped their wings and flew through space quickly. Even though the beasts were only as strong as Saint Emperors, they were no slower than cultivators of the Origin Realm. There were 20 guards in white clothes who had all reached the Origin Realm on the 2 sides of the carriage. All their clothes bore a symbol that seemed like a small, golden sword. The golden carriage shot over quickly, descending outside the main entrance of the Mo clan very soon. The leading guard immediately said to the guards of the Mo clan, the young master of the Audiobook sword sect has come to visit, why haven't you reported it? A guard dared not to tarry, and he immediately ran into the clan to pass on the message. The patriarch and the elders of the Mo clan were still congratulating Shiyu on her breakthrough. When the golden carriage approached the Mo clan, Shiyu frowned slightly. She said, Father, the young master from the Audiobook sword sect has come again. Mo Yan's face changed drastically when she heard that. She asked hurriedly, What? That Yu Fan person has come again? No, we can't let him into the Mo clan. I hate him to death. Dad, please chase him away. The patriarch sighed gently and said plainly, Let the young master in. Although the patriarch did not speak very loudly, it was transmitted across several kilometers clearly, and his words were heard by the guard who had scurried over. The arrival of the young master of the Audiobook sword sect did not need any reporting at all. All the godhood experts in the Mo clan would sense him as soon as he approached the clan. Very soon, a young man who seemed to be in his 20s entered the Mo clan with his chest held high. He was dressed in luxurious, white robes and was rather handsome, except he seemed a little sickly pale. His gaze was dull, without any light. His eyes also seemed to carry some perverted intent. Beside the young man were 2 middle-aged followers. Both of them gave off tremendous presences, and they walked boldly. They possessed the pressure that was only present on godhood experts as they walked beside the young man. Behind them were 20 reciprocity guards. They were all expressionless and cold. The elders all watched the group of people approach them calmly. Only Shiyu frowned as she looked at the young man with some disgust. As for Mo Yen, her face had completely sunk. Greetings to Uncle Mo and Sister Shiyu. The young man arrived before the patriarch and bowed towards the patriarch and Shiyu. Pa. Who's your Uncle Mo? And who's your Sister Shiyu? You fan, who do you think you are? Listen up, you call my father patriarch, and you can't call Sister Shiyu like that. You should be calling her Elder Shiyu, or Elder Shi, do you understand? Mo Yen stood with her hands on her hips as she lectured the young man sternly. The young man did not become angered. He smiled charmingly at Mo Yen and said, Sister Mo Yen is still so short-tempered. Bah! Who's your sister? Who's your sister? Mo Yen almost leapt up. Due to her anger, her face had become rather red. Yenner, he's a guest. How can you be so rude? What did I teach you in the past? The patriarch glared at Mo Yen with a frown. Humph. Mo Yen snorted coldly and said nothing more with a sunken face. It's fine, it's no problem at all. Uncle Mo, Sister Mo Yen's just like that. It's not her fault, said the young man with a charming smile. His gaze was focused on Mo Yen most of the time, and his dull eyes would reveal a perverted emotion from time to time. Even though he hid it very well, he was still unable to hide it from the elders of the Mo clan. The elders all disliked this young man, but they did not dare to offend him too much as he was the young master of the Audiobook sword sect. The patriarch looked towards the two middle-aged men beside the young master and clasped his hands. He said, I never thought that elders Mo Shan and Mo Yun would come as well. Please, come with me to the hall. Mo Shan and Mo Yun clasped their hands towards the patriarch at the same time. Mo Shan said, fair enough. Patriarch, you must understand our intentions for coming today. Let's discuss in detail in the hall. Afterwards, he said to the young master, you fan, we've got matters to discuss with the patriarch. Seeing how it has been quite some time since you've seen the young miss, why don't you spend some time with her and catch up? Okay, Uncle Shan, you fan replied politely. He was very excited. Come with me. Yenner, receive the young master well. Do you understand? The patriarch said that before leaving with Shiyu, Mo Shan, and Mo Yun for the discussion hall. All the other elders of the Mo clan returned to their own residences. Is that the young master of the Audiobook sword sect? Jian Chen saw everything from afar. He shook his head secretly and continued toward Shinjian's residence. After the patriarch and the two elders from the Audiobook sword sect left, the young master said to Mo Yen eagerly, Sister Mo Yen, let's go as well. I came in a hurry last time and also left in a hurry. You haven't even taken me on a proper stroll around the Mo clan. I heard that the sea of flowers in your clan's gardens is extremely pretty. You have to take me there this time. Mo Yen lowered her head and seemed to lose interest completely. The young master was handsome, but Mo Yen was not interested in him at all. Instead, she disliked him very much. In fact, she would be filled with disgust whenever she saw him. However, her father had already told her to receive the young master well. She did not dare to refuse what her father said and just abandon Yufan. After all, she still held quite some respect for her father. At this moment, Mo Yen saw Jian Chen, who was walking away. Her eyes immediately lit up, and she called out, Jian Chen. Chapter 1696. The Sea of Flowers. Jian Chen stopped and turned around to look at Mo Yen, who had run over. He seemed to be in thought. Mo Yen ran over to Jian Chen. With a sad frown, she looked at Jian Chen pitifully and said, Jian Chen, I'm in trouble. Can you help me? Jian Chen smiled and glanced at the young master in the distance. He said, "Sure, tell me how I can help you. Do you want me to chase away that young master?" Jian Shen agreed extremely straightforwardly. After all, Mo Yen had saved he and Shen Jian when they were outside before, so Jian Shen had always felt some gratitude towards her. It was not like it was anything difficult for him to help her with the problem right now anyway. Moreover, he could tell with a single glance that the young master was up to no good. He naturally did not want Mo Yen to be harassed by him. Mo Yen immediately leapt in fright when she heard that Jian Shen would chase away the young master. She whispered, "No, no, don't. You can't do that. He's the young master of the Audiobook sword sect after all. He has quite the status, so you can't offend him. He's not a kind-hearted person just because he doesn't get mad at me. If people provoke him and they don't have a certain background, he'll never let them go." "Then how do you want me to help you?" Jian Shen asked with a smile. Mo Yen tilted her head in thought and said, "Dad wants me to receive him properly, so I obviously can't just abandon him. But I don't want to be alone with him. Why don't you come with me as my friend? If you can do that, I think you Fan will understand and not always stick around me." "Sister Yenner, who's this? Why don't you introduce him to me?" At this moment, the young master walked over. He smiled brightly, but his gaze was cold and rather envious when he glanced at Jian Shen. "Why have I never heard of this person before? Not only is he more handsome than me, but he also possesses a certain level of determination that I don't possess. God damn it. This type of presence can encapture the hearts of girls the easiest. Why don't I have it? Why?" The young master grumbled inside. He had already been comparing himself to Jian Shen secretly and discovered that he paled in comparison in all aspects apart from his background. Mo Yen frowned. She stared at Yu Fan impatiently and said coldly, "Yu Fan, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't call me Sister Yenner. Only Jian Shen can call me Sister Yenner and no one else." Yu Fan gritted his teeth and looked at Jian Shen with much hostility. He asked arrogantly, "Is this Jian Shen? Jian Shen, may I ask which clan you come from? And why has my sect never heard of you?" Yu Fan directly referred to his father's sect as his in attempt to dominate Jian Shen. Jian Shen remained composed. He smiled gently, "I'm only a nameless independent cultivator, so it's natural for the young master to have not heard of me." Yu Fan let out a breath of relief inside after learning that Jian Shen was just a nameless cultivator. He naturally would not place any particular attention on a nameless cultivator, nor did he believe that a nameless cultivator could steal the young lady of the Mo clan away from him. But Sister Yenner really does treat Jian Shen closely. Otherwise, why would she say that only he can refer to her as Sister Yenner? "Humph, you're just a puny independent cultivator, and yet you want to go against me. I'll shut you up forever in a few days," Yu Fan sneered inside and a hostile light flickered through his dull eyes. However, his expression did not change at all. His smile remained the same, and he said to Mo Yen, "Sister Mo Yen, let's go check out the Sea of Flowers in the Mo clan instead." A sliver of disgust appeared in Mo Yan's eyes. She glanced at Jian Shen before immediately forcing out a smile. "Let's go, Jian Shen. Let's go see the Sea of Flowers. The Sea of Flowers is the prettiest and most beautiful place in our Mo clan. It's said that my mother personally tended to it." Mo Yan's face became gloomy as soon as she mentioned her mother. There was also some sorrow and pain. Mo Yen, Jian Shen, and Yu Fan arrived in the Sea of Flowers within the Mo clan. As the name suggested, the Sea of Flowers was a sea composed of various precious and rare flowers. A dense fragrance would surge forth when they approached the area. As all the flowers planted there were nothing short of extraordinary, the mixture of their fragrances was extraordinary as well. With just a single whiff, it could calm the souls of people and fill them with comfort all over. "Look, Jian Shen. These are white spirit flowers. These are red moon flowers. These are sun-facing flowers, while these are turad flowers. I heard from my father that they were all brought into the clan by my mother, who planted them personally here." Along the way, Mo Yen introduced all the flowers planted there enthusiastically. She smiled brightly, except there was a smear of sorrow within her smile. As for the young master, Mo Yen had directly ignored him. Originally, he had asked Mo Yen to take him to see the sea of flowers, yet Mo Yen had completely placed her attention on Jian Chen, whether intentionally or otherwise. She did not even glance at him. Originally, he thought that Jian Chen was just Mo Yan's attendant at most, yet he discovered that he seemed to have become the attendant instead. Yu Fan's face became more and more sunken, while his gaze towards Jian Chen became colder and colder. He had even revealed a heavy killing intent. Yu Fan's killing intent obviously could not be hidden from Jian Chen, which made him smile bitterly and helplessly. Mo Yen was still inexperienced after all. Although she could come up with a lot of strange ideas, she was still unable to consider everything with her thoughts. Even if she wanted to find a scapegoat, she had to think it through. Fortunately, she had chosen him. Otherwise, if she had chosen someone else who was not as important as the young master, her actions would have basically led them to their deaths. Yu Fan could no longer endure it any longer. Although he was filled with fury and killing intent towards Jian Chen, he still maintained his appearance as a young master before Mo Yen, forcefully restraining his unhappiness. He said, "Sister Mo Yen, I've already seen enough of the sea of flowers. Why don't we spar with the sword? Let's see whether the precision sword style of your Mo clan or the Automos sword style of my Automos sword sect is better. I heard that in the past, my father and your father sparred many times and they used the precision sword style and Automos sword style. They wanted to see who was stronger, but it was a draw in the end, unfortunately." Chapter 1697, Sparring with Swords, Sparring with Swords. "I'm not interested," Mo Yen did not even consider it. She directly turned him down. She hated weapons. There has always been a rumor outside that the precision sword style of your Mo clan is not as great as the Automos sword style of our Automos sword sect. In the past, your father was able to reach a stalemate against mine was not because of the power of your precision sword style but because your father knew a 4th grade truth tier battle skill, Yu Fan continued. His gaze was already rather cold. He did not mind Mo Yan's coldness towards him because she treated him like this every time. He had already grown accustomed to it when considering Mo Yan's status. However, he was unable to endure her acting so enthusiastically towards another man who was more handsome than himself while completely ignoring him. Mo Yen glared at Yu Fan after hearing his words. She called out coldly, "Who said that our precision sword style isn't as great as your Automos sword style? Yu Fan, isn't it just sparring with the sword? Sure, I'll take you on. Let's see whether our precision sword style or your Automos sword style is better." Jian Chen shook his head secretly to one side. He really had nothing to say, seeing how easily Mo Yen had been goaded. Mo Yen is going to suffer. However, it's not like something like this is bad for her. Jian Chen did not step in. Mo Yan's personality really did need to be properly fixed. She would naturally be fine as long as she remained in the Mo clan right now, but if she went out to the outside world, survival would be a great struggle. Seeing that Mo Yen had actually agreed, Yu Fan secretly celebrated. Then he turned to Jian Chen and said coldly, "Sister Mo Yen and I are sparring, so you better stand far away. If you secretly learn my sword style, my sect will never spare you." Jian Chen rubbed his nose. After warning Mo Yen to be careful, he directly walked away to one side. The 20 guards who had always followed behind the young master stood far away as well. In the end, they walked towards Jian Chen and stood with him. Jian Chen dismissed all the female servants and guards in the sea of flowers. They could not allow anyone to spectate their spar up close, just in case they decided to pick up a few moves. "Brother, how would I refer to you?" A disciple from the Automos sword sect greeted Jian Chen. He was not very old, and he only seemed to be in his 30s from his appearance. However, that was just his appearance. In reality, he had already cultivated for who knew how long. "Jian Chen, Jianshen clasped his hands and responded plainly. My name is Zhou Bing. You can call me Senior Zhou Bing. However, Jianshen, I must remind you out of good intentions that during the spar between the young master and the young lady, it's best if we don't interfere. No matter what happens, we have to act like we know nothing, understood? Zhou Bing said with hidden meaning. Jianshen frowned when he heard that. He snorted coldly, if it's only a spar and no injuries or deaths happen, I naturally wouldn't interfere in anything. After all, ordinary sparring is good for Mo Yen as well. However, I'll have to do something if anything beyond sparring happens. Zhou Bing's face changed slightly, and the 19 other disciples immediately moved. They had surrounded Jianshen, and they all appeared to be rather hostile. Jianshen, that's the young master of the Audiobook sword sect and the young lady of the Mo clan. Are you sure that you have the power as an independent cultivator to interfere? You should listen to me and act like nothing has happened at all. Even if something really does happen, it'll be the problem between our Audiobook sword sect and the Mo clan. It won't have anything to do with you, Zhou Bing said sincerely as if he was thinking for Jianshen. Jianshen glanced past the disciples who surrounded him and smiled coldly with his arms crossed. I'd still recommend you to tell your young master to not go overboard when sparring. I'm also considering for you by saying this. After all, you won't be any better off if anything happened to the young master as his guards. You don't have to worry about that, brother Jianshen. Even in the Mo clan, there is no one who dares to touch the young master. Zhou Bing forced out a smile. Mo Yen had already begun fighting against Zhou Fan. A reciprocity guard had already cast down a barrier around their location to prevent the shockwaves of their spar from destroying the sea of flowers. As they were both at sainthood, they did not need to worry about their battle destroying the barrier. The two who sparred showed what they had. They both used the techniques from their styles. The precision sword style of the Mo clan and the Audiobook sword style of the Audiobook sword sect clashed together, resulting in streams of energy. Jianshen watched this from afar. After conversing with Zhou Bing, he had already realized that this spar might not be as simple as it seemed on the surface. Zhou Fan's strength is not great, and his battle intent or skills aren't fantastic either, but he's clearly much stronger than Mo Yen. What is Mo Yen doing? That's not how you use a sword. Is she using a sword or a blade? She's just swinging it randomly. How is that the precision sword style? It seems more like a blade style to me, no, an axe style. That's a sword, not a spear. Why is she using the sword as a spear? Jianshen had no idea how to react as he watched Mo Yen use the sword. He had no idea how to analyze it. Mo Yan's skills with the sword were just horrendous. She did not even have the foundations for the sword. Although Mo Yen and Yu Fan were of the same cultivation level, Mo Yan's skill with the sword and experience in battle were nowhere near Yu Fan's, so Mo Yen completely lost the upper hand before long. Very soon, she was forced into a flurry by Yu Fan. Rip. At this moment, Yu Fan's sword chi swept past and Mo Yan's right sleeve was immediately ripped off, revealing her white arm. Mo Yen gritted her teeth and did her best to fend off Yu Fan's attacks. Yu Fan's perversion was agitated when he saw Mo Yan's white arm, and he revealed a perverted look. He stabbed out a few times, and he cut through Mo Yan's clothes each time, reducing her clothes to tatters immediately. It revealed large areas of her skin. Her clothes no longer covered her body. You're shameless, Mo Yen was furious. To one side, Jianshen's face had sunken as well. With a cold snort, he directly stood up. Brother Jianshen, it's best if we wait here patiently. There are some matters that we can't interfere in. Zhou Bing stood up as well and said sincerely to Jianshen. At the same time, the 19 other disciples all surrounded Jianshen with hostility. Sister Mo Yen, you have to be careful. This move is called, the gentleman strikes out with his divine sword, the peach blossoms on the mountain bloom. Yu Fan smiled like a pervert as he directly tried to remove Mo Yan's inner garment with a single strike. Powerful killing intent flickered through Jian Chen's eyes. He directly hurled a punch at Zhou Bing's chest. Although he was at reciprocity, he was still unable to withstand a single attack from Jian Chen. He could not even react to Jian Chen's punch, and blood spurted from his mouth as he was blown away like a cannonball. There were 3 other disciples around Zhou Bing. When Zhou Bing collided into them, the 3 disciples all vomited blood and were blown away as well. Cracks rang out from all over their bodies and their bones were broken. At this moment, when Yu Fan's sword was only an inch away from Mo Yan's inner garment, Mo Yan began to pale and panic. From afar, Jian Chen's gaze was cold. He did not hide his heavy killing intent at all. He directly extended a finger towards Yu Fan from far away. His movement immediately produced a silver-white sword qi that flew out with a flash. The sword qi moved extremely quickly, more than 100 times faster than Yu Fan's sword. It struck the barrier around the 2 of them in a single moment. The barrier was as fragile as ice before the sword qi. As a matter of fact, it was as if it did not exist at all, shattering instantly. The sword qi continued onwards without slowing at all, shooting towards Yu Fan's sword with lightning speed. Chapter 1698, I'll take your arm ding. The sword qi struck Yu Fan's sword and caused the sword to resonate crisply. It had been directly knocked aside. Yu Fan also felt an indescribably tremendous force in his sword when the sword qi collided with his weapon. It surged up his right up wildly, immediately making his arm throb violently. He could not help but cry out miserably. At the same time, the blood had completely drained out of his sickly, white face. Yu Fan's cry was astonishingly loud. It rang across most of the clan while his entire right arm had already completely vanished. There was only a mess of flesh and blood on the ground now. Young master. Before the Origin Realm guards could return to their senses from the shock of Jian Chen's punch, they were startled back to their senses by Yu Fan's cry. When they saw Yu Fan in the distance, their faces all changed, and they ran over as quickly as possible. Go fetch the 2 elders. Immediately, a disciple of the Atomo's sword sect cried out in a panic. The young master had lost an arm under their watch. They simply could not imagine just how severe their punishment would be once they returned. This was because they all knew just how much the sect master spoilt the young master. Although he did not grow up to amount to anything great, he was still the sect master's beloved and only son. What happened? At this moment, a rather heavy voice rang out. The 2 elders of the Atomo's sword sect made their way over from afar with broad steps. They easily crossed several hundred meters with each step, so they arrived before Yu Fan with just a few steps. The Patriarch and Shiyu arrived as well. They arrived before Mo Yan slightly faster than the 2 elders. Their faces became completely sunken when they saw how Mo Yan had almost become completely naked. Sob, Sister Shiyu, Mo Yan threw herself into Shiyu's chest. Her eyes had reddened, and she cried aloud. She cried extremely sadly, and she was filled with a sense of being wronged. Since a young age, she had basically been treasured by people wherever she went. She had never been bullied, so she had never felt so abused before. Shiyu hugged the sorrowful Mo Yan tenderly. Her face was terrifyingly sunken while heavy killing intent had appeared in her eyes. She did not try to hide her killing intent at all, allowing the 2 elders to sense it clearly. Don't be scared. With Sister Shiyu here, no one can harm you. If they even touch a hair on you, I'll immediately cripple them. Shiyu gnashed her teeth, basically placing stress on every single syllable. Seeing how Mo Yan had almost been stripped bare, she had become truly angered. The Patriarch stood to one side with a sunken face silently. His gaze was also extremely cold. He stared at the severed arm that belonged to the young master of the Atomo's sword sect and felt secretly surprised. He could obviously tell with his insight that Yu Fan's arm had not been cut off but forcefully ripped off by an extremely great force. The force had reduced his arm to meat paste. This Jian Chen is pretty powerful. He has already mastered his usage of sword chi. Looks like he's an expert of the sword, thought the patriarch. However, just this was not enough for him to tell whether Jian Chen was at reciprocity or godhood. However, he was unable to see Jian Chen's strength. Just from the vague presence he gave off, Jian Chen seemed to be at reciprocity, yet not at the same time. He also seemed to be at godhood, but he did not appear to be at godhood either. In the end, he had discerned Jian Chen's strength to be at the origin realm because of how Shen Jian referred to him as brother before Shen Jian had broken through. Mo Shan and Mo Yun naturally heard she use vicious words. The two of them understood that although she said these words to comfort Mo Yen, she was actually directing it towards the two of them. However, the two elders were in no mood to pay any attention to Shi Yu's threats. They stared at Yu Fan's severed arm, and their faces were rather ugly. Although Yu Fan had gone rather overboard, he was still the young master of the Automo's sword sect. Even if he had gone slightly overboard, there was no need to remove his arm. Yu Fan represented the Automo's sword sect after all. The Mo clan was basically slapping the Automo's sword sect's face by treating the young master so brutally. Greetings to the two elders, the 17 disciples who stood around Jian Chen all ran over. They all felt unsettled and dread covered their faces. I got you to protect the young sect master properly, so how has he become like this? You must know how important the young master is to the sect master. We can't afford anything to let anything happen to him, but now you've done it. He has lost an entire arm. Tell me, how are we supposed to explain this to the sect master? How are we going to calm the sect master down from his rage? Elder Mo Yun lectured furiously. He placed particular focus on the sect master's rage. He was scolding the disciples of the Automo's sword sect, but he was really just reminding the Mo clan of the young master's status in the Automo's sword sect, hinting that they needed to give a satisfying explanation over how injured the young master had become. Otherwise, it would directly affect the friendship between the two organizations. The patriarch of the Mo clan frowned. He could obviously tell what Elder Mo Yun was trying to imply, but he did not say anything. Now that the Mo clan was about to face the pressures from the Lu family and the Ando clan, he could not afford to become enemies with the Automo's sword sect at a time like this. Shi Yu's eyes had almost begun to burn with flames of fury. However, she also felt a deep sense of helplessness. She was tempted to kill Yu Fan with a single stroke after seeing how much abuse Mo Yen had suffered, but her rational mind told her that she could not do that. Why aren't I a god? If I'm a god, would there still be any need for our Mo clan to place so much emphasis on the Automo's sword sect? If I was a god, the Automo's sword sect wouldn't dare to say anything even if I kill Yu Fan, Shi Yu thought with self-blame. She only resented the fact that she could not cultivate faster. Speak, who injured the young master? Seeing that his words were effective, Mo Yun immediately stopped worrying. His tone changed and became extremely direct. He glared at everyone. Jian Chen walked over from afar steadily. He stared at the two elders indifferent and said easily, I injured him. Mo Shan glared at Jian Chen and asked coldly, and who are you? Don't you know what status the person you just injured possesses? It doesn't matter who he is. You have to come back to the sect with us, so that you can be judged by the sect master. You cut off the young master's arm after all. That's a heinous crime, Elder Mo Yun said coldly. Then he turned to the patriarch of the Mo clan and clasped his fist. I believe the patriarch should have no problems with us taking this person back with us, right? Chapter 1699. Shen Jian's strength. Mo Yun's voice gradually became cold. He had failed to reach any good conclusion with Mo Shan in the discussion hall before, and coupled with how the young master had been treated, his opinion of the Mo clan had changed slightly. If it were before Shi Yu had fully matured, the Automo's sword sect would have never tried to offend the Mo clan. Even if the young master had suffered wounds like today, they would have never fallen out with the Mo clan over this disappointment of a person. They would have tried to downplay the matter as much as possible. However, now that the Mo clan was facing the threats of the Lu family and the Ando clan, the Mo clan would suffer heavy losses even if they avoided destruction once the two clans moved against them. Under such a situation, there was no reason for them to fear the Mo clan at all. This was because they were certain that the Mo clan would not fall out with their Automo sword sect, let alone offend their Automo sword sect. The patriarch felt fury surge in his heart. He snorted coldly. Yu Fan laid his hands on Yenner first. Am I supposed to let my Yenner be hurt while preventing your young master from being hurt instead? Not to mention that Yu Fan has only lost an arm. It's nothing significant. Recovering an arm is nothing but a simple matter. Patriarch, are you trying to say that you plan on protecting the person who injured our young master? Mo Shan's voice gradually turned cold as well. This directly affected the pride and dignity of his sect, so he could never let the patriarch have it his way. Not to mention that he was certain that the Mo clan would give in the end. After all, if the Mo clan offended their Automo's sword sect, they would become surrounded by enemies in this region. Jian Shen is an esteemed guest of my clan. Just the two of you won't be able to take away anyone in my clan. Please take Yu Fan and leave, the patriarch said plainly. Shiyu, who stood to one side, snorted coldly as well. She was extremely furious. The Automo sword sect was responsible for hurting Mo Yen first, yet they completely ignored what had happened to her and made a fuss over who injured Yu Fan. Since when did the Mo clan become so easy to be abused, where even two elders of the Automo sword sect could make trouble in their territory? The Mo clan fears the Automo sword sect. Strange. With the Mo clan's strength, they should be no weaker than the Automo sword sect. I wonder why the Mo clan fears the Automo sword sect so much. Looks like the relationship between the four organizations in this region is not as peaceful as it seems, Jian Shen thought. Jian Shen acted as if he was thinking of something before clasping his hands towards the patriarch. He said, Patriarch, this matter was caused by me, so why don't you let me handle it? I'd like to see how the two godhood elders from the Automo sword sect handle me and if they have the power to take me back or not. The two elders hesitated instead when they saw Jian Shen's composure. They stared at Jian Shen in both surprise and doubt because they could not tell what strength Jian Shen possessed. Originally, they believed him to be at the origin realm, as godhood experts would not be so unknown to the public. Moreover, there were only so many godhood experts in the region. They had basically seen images of every single one, and Jian Shen was not among them. However, seeing how reassured Jian Shen seemed, the two of them became rather uncertain now. Suddenly, Mo Shan seemed to think of something. He said to Mo Yun through a communication technique, the godhood expert who recently broke through in the Mo clan seems to have quite a good friend. I think the person's name is Jian Shen. Is he it? Mo Yun's face changed, and he responded, I remember as well now. That's indeed the case. Looks like this Jian Shen is so reassured against us because he has the support of that new person called Shinjian. After saying that to Mo Shan, Mo Yun smiled coldly and said to Jian Shen, so your reassurance comes from your friend who has just become a deity. If your friend possessed strength at late deity, we really might not have been able to do anything to you today, but it's a pity that he's only an early deity. Do you think that a single early deity can protect you? We obviously would not cause him any problems if he decides to remain within his residence. However, if he dares to come out and protect you, I can only teach him a proper lesson. I will let him understand that even after reaching godhood, he can't just go around provoking anyone. As for you, you'll be returning to our Automo's sword sect obediently and be judged by the sect master. As he said that, Mo Yun directly grabbed towards Jian Shen's shoulder. What boldness! I'd really like to see how you, a mid-deity, can teach me, a mere early deity, a lesson. Mo Yun, receive my attack first. If you can't receive my attack, I'll take your arm as well. However, just when Mo Yun finished speaking, a voice filled with energy rang out from one of the residences. It was extremely loud, exploding like a clap of thunder. Before the voice had finished, a powerful sword chi emerged. A dark, metal sword shot out of an elder's hall with lightning speed, accompanied by a sword chi. It shot towards Mo Yun with a flash, directly cleaving towards the hand that Mo Yun was using to grab towards Jian Chen. The patriarch and Shiyu were both shocked. Their pupils had narrowed to the size of a pinhead in a single moment as they stared fixedly at the sword that shot towards Mo Yun. Their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. This was because both of them experienced a suffocating pressure from the sword. The glow from the sword had even made their hearts leap in fright. They could sense an extremely great threat from the light, where it had reached a level enough to threaten their lives. Both the patriarch and Shiyu were astounded. They were both late deities, while Shenjian was only someone who had become an early deity a few months ago, yet someone who had recently advanced like him was actually able to deliver such an unbelievable strike. Mo Yun did not pay too much attention at the start. He did not truly treat someone who had only reached early deity recently with any importance. However, his face changed very soon. He became extremely stern and also displayed great shock. Mo Yun basically drew his sword out reflexively. The sword shone with an earthen yellow glow. What he comprehended was the laws of earth. Mo Yun swung his sword, and the yellow light immediately brightened. The huge figure of a mountain seemed to hover behind him while he seemed to have fused with its power completely. He radiated with a monstrous aura and stabbed out as hard as he could. Mo Yun's sword clashed with the incoming metal sword, erupting with a great boom. Just this single attack had caused Mo Yun to turn pale. The figure of the mountain behind him shattered and blood spurted into the air from his mouth. He staggered backwards uncontrollably. With each step, the ground would shake. His valuable shoes turned to dust while his bare feet were now firmly embedded in the ground. The metal sword continued onwards without weakening at all. With a clear thrum, it shot past Mo Yun's arm with surging sword chi, then the sword flew back into the elder's residence without any blood on it at all. Mo Yun grunted as a look of pain became plastered across his pale face. The right arm that he used to wield his sword had already been sliced off. Even his treasured sword had fallen to the ground, causing blood to spurt out of the wound like a fountain. Mo Shan stared at Mo Yun in a daze after the latter lost his arm. He was completely stupefied. The patriarch and Shiyu's eyes both widened as they stared at the armless Mo Yun. They were astounded. Mo Yun, you can't even receive an attack from me, so what are you going to use to teach me a lesson? The door of the 7th hall had opened, and Shenjian walked out indifferently from there. The dark, metal sword hovered beside him, thrumming clearly. However, in the ears of everyone in the Mo clan, the thrumming sword sounded like an extremely great deterrence. At the same time, the doors to the 5 other halls all opened. The 5 elders all stood at the entrance as they stared at Shenjian in shock. Their hearts churned. Chapter 1700. The ancestor of the Mo clan. Just a single attack had claimed the arm of a mid-deity. It had even achieved a landslide victory, where the opponent could not resist at all. The opponent had basically been steamrolled. Could this really be achieved by someone who had only broken through to early deity a few months ago? Whether it was the patriarch of the Mo clan, Shiyu, or even the 5 other elders, everyone aside from Jian Chen was stunned by this scene. The might of Shenjian's attack had left all of them deeply stunned. Impossible, this is impossible. That person called Shenjian is clearly just an early deity, and he has only broken through a few months ago. How can he possess such great strength? Mo Yun is a mid-deity, so he clearly possesses an absolute advantage over him, yet why has he been felled in a single attack? This is completely impossible. Elder Mo Shan supported the pale and haggard Mo Yun. He was unable to calm himself. He would have never believed what had just happened earlier was real. How is this Shenjian so powerful? He cut off Mo Yun's arm with a single stroke. Oh my god, how is he an early deity? Even late deities or even peak deities can't achieve something like that. The elders from the Mo clan all gained a renewed opinion of Shenjian. Within their admiration, there was also deep fear. The might of Shenjian's attack had struck fear deep into the hearts of everyone present. Who is he? He's actually even stronger than a late deity despite only just becoming a deity. Looks like this Xinjian is not simple. Shiyu also stared at Xinjian before glancing at Jian Chen. Her heart immediately jumped when she saw that Jian Chen's expression remained the same as before. Clearly, the strength Xinjian displayed did not surprise him. Jian Chen clearly knows Xinjian's strength. Xinjian's so strong, yet he still refers to him as a brother. There are only two reasons why something like this would happen. Either they really are extremely close with one another, or Jian Chen is powerful as well. Maybe not as great as Xinjian, but not much weaker. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to shrug off the elders of the Audiobook sword sect. I also feel that Jian Chen's confidence doesn't come from Xinjian. It looks like even without Xinjian's assistance, he will be able to deal with the two elders. Mo Yen also stopped crying. She covered her mouth gently as she stared at Elder Mo Yun, who had lost an arm. She had become completely stunned. She had never thought that an elder from the Audiobook sword sect would lose an arm before everyone's eyes just because of her matters. He was an elder at godhood after all. Mo Yen believed that as long as someone reached godhood, they would become a mighty existence, where even the patriarch of the clan had to treat them politely. They would only be second to the ancestors in their respective sects or clans in terms of status. Is he really the person I saved? Mo Yen stared at Xinjian with a strange light as excitement gradually rose up from the bottom of her heart. Mo Yun, I'm standing right before you, so what do you plan on doing to teach me a lesson? Xinjian walked over towards Mo Yun. He did not move quickly, nor did he let any of his presence leak out, so he seemed just like an ordinary person. However, his gradual approach pressured the two elders mentally. Mo Shan stepped backwards while supporting the injured Mo Yun. Now, the two of them no longer seemed confident or dignified. Instead, the expression on their faces had been replaced by a deep sense of fear and dread. Patriarch, Mo Shan clasped his fist towards the patriarch of the Mo clan. At that moment, he had completely forgotten about the dignity he should have possessed as a godhood expert. He seemed to be pleading for the patriarch to interfere. Although he did not state it openly, his intentions were delivered clearly. This was because Mo Shan had a feeling that if he did not yield today and continued like before, it was extremely likely for Xinjian to kill the two of them right there. This was because he could see no fear in Xinjian's eyes at all. The Audiobook sword sect meant nothing to him. The patriarch of the Mo clan sighed gently. Now that the Mo clan was in an extremely risky position, he could not afford to become complete enemies with the Audiobook sword sect. Please stay your hand, brother Xinjian. Although Elder Mo Yun has gone overboard with his words, he has already received the punishment he deserves. I hope you can do this for me and spare them. The patriarch clasped his fist toward Xinjian and spoke extremely politely. Seeing how the patriarch spoke for them, the two elders became relieved inside. When they looked at Xinjian, who stood nearby, they did not feel like they were looking at a person but a brutal sword. Xinjian did not agree immediately. He looked at Jian Chen and asked, "The person they offended is you. Do you want to spare them?" At that moment, everyone turned their gazes towards Jian Chen. Before, no one truly attached any importance to Jian Chen aside from the patriarch and Mo Yen in the Mo clan. However, everyone's opinion of Jian Chen changed now. This Jian Chen really makes people envious. He was actually able to make such a powerful friend. Sigh, why aren't I as lucky as him? A similar thought appeared in the heads of the 5 elders of the clan. Xinjian was already so powerful at early deity. He was even more powerful than a late deity. If his strength progressed to mid-deity or late deity, would that mean he would be able to fight against gods? Jian Chen waved his hand and said to the 2 elders, "You can go. I won't pursue this matter today, but if there's a second time, I will not show any mercy." Jian Chen did not want the Mo clan to cause too much trouble for the Audiobook sword sect before he understood the relationship between the 4 organizations in the region. He did not fear the Audiobook sword sect, but he did not want the Mo clan to be dragged in because of him. Jian Chen still had a good opinion of the Mo clan, with Mo Yen in particular. She had saved him and Shenjian. Mo Shan and Mo Yun said nothing. They picked up the severed arm and left the clan in gloomily, while the other disciples from the Audiobook sword sect all carried away the injured young master and the 3 other disciples injured by Jian Chen behind the 2 elders. They had come impressively and with dignity, yet they were all dejected and in horrible shapes when they left. Ha ha ha, brother Shenjian, I never thought you'd be a hidden expert. That attack earlier made me leap in fright. It made my heart jump. The patriarch made his way to Shenjian as he chuckled aloud. Very clearly, he was even more enthusiastic towards Shenjian. Brother Shenjian, I never thought that you'd have such great mastery over the laws of the sword. It has really broadened our horizons. I also use the sword, so if you have any time to spare, please give me some guidance with regards to the sword. The 5 other elders all walked over as well. They all spoke with Shenjian enthusiastically. At this moment, the patriarch's face changed slightly. He immediately clasped his fist towards Jian Chen and Shenjian and said, Brother Shenjian, Brother Jian Chen, I have matters to attend to, so please excuse me. Please receive the 2 esteemed guests properly in my place. Yes, Father, Shiyu replied obediently. Her opinion of Shenjian and Jian Chen was vastly different from before as well. Jian Chen and Shenjian glanced towards the depths of the clans casually before looking away. They clasped their fist to see the patriarch off. At this moment, the patriarch stood politely within an ancient hall in the depths of the Mo clan. He completely lacked the dignity of a patriarch. Before him stood a burly, bare-chested, and bald-headed man. He only seemed to be in his early 40s, and he even seemed slightly younger than the patriarch. Ancestor, you've emerged. The patriarch stood before the bald man said politely. The bald man stared at the patriarch and said, A god has appeared in the clan, so how can I not emerge? The patriarch's face changed drastically when he heard that. He cried out, What? A god? Chapter 1701. A visit from a god has actually silently infiltrated our Mo clan. Ancestor, may I ask who it is? Is it the one from the Lu family? Or is it the one from the Audiobook sword sect? Or the Ando clan? The patriarch of the Mo clan asked politely. He was extremely grim. A god had appeared in the Mo clan. This was a significant matter. However, the patriarch was fortunate that the ancestor of the Mo clan had emerged from seclusion at a time like this, or else the consequences would have been unthinkable. The Mo clan was one of the 4 great organizations in the region, possessing quite the strength with several deities as elders. However, strength like this would only crumble before a god. If a god had infiltrated the clan, wiping out the entire place was only the matter of raising a hand. Even if all the elders in the clan fought against the god together, they would not be able to pose a threat to the god at all. Although there were a few legends in the saints' world where a few peak deities could kill ordinary gods, basically all of them were the prodigies of large sects and clans. It was impossible for a legend like that to happen in the Mo clan. The ancestor of the Mo clan stared at the shocked patriarch. A strange light flickered through his eyes, and he walked over to a seat steadily before sitting down. He said to the patriarch, Have you really not realized? The patriarch shook his head and replied in shame, It's Junior who has been useless. I haven't discovered the god who has infiltrated the clan even now. If it were not for the ancestor suddenly emerging from seclusion, I probably would not even have known that a god has appeared in the clan. The patriarch sank into his thoughts and said, I can't blame you now that you mention it. After all, your cultivation level hasn't reached that level yet, so it would be very natural for you to be incapable of sensing it. The ancestor became stern and asked, Xingfeng, let me ask you, who is that person who chopped off Mo Yun's arm in a single stroke? Why has he appeared in our Mo clan? The patriarch of the Mo clan was not slow-witted. When he heard the ancestor mention Shenjian and remembered the impressive strength he had displayed, he immediately linked Shenjian's identity to the god mentioned by the ancestor. He was stunned at first, and then his expression changed suddenly. His eyes widened as disbelief flooded his face. His heart churned wildly. Ancestor, are you saying that Brother Xinjian is a god? The patriarch could no longer keep his calm, crying out uncontrollably. This news was like a clap of thunder in his head, and he was now completely dumbstruck. So he's called Xinjian. Correct, the god I was speaking of is him, murmured the ancestor. Impossible, that's impossible. When Brother Xinjian first came to our Mo clan, he was only at reciprocity. He only broke through to godhood a few months ago and is only an early deity right now. How can he be a god? Are you sure you haven't mistaken him for something else, ancestor? The patriarch explained in a hurry. He felt very confused inside, as Xinjian had indeed only broken through to godhood recently. How had he become a god in the blink of an eye? The ancestor sighed gently. His expression became very mixed. He had become either envious or jealous. Xingfeng, you're right. Xinjian's cultivation level is indeed at early godhood, but his comprehension of the laws of the sword has already reached the level of God. The ancestor was filled with mixed feelings. What? Brother Xinjian's comprehension of laws has already reached the level of God? The patriarch felt his mouth dry up. The various times he had interacted with Xinjian flashed through his head. He found it very difficult to believe that Xinjian's comprehension of laws had already reached such an unbelievable level. This Xinjian is a deviant. There are countless people in the saints' world who have reached the peak of their cultivation but cannot advance any further due to the lack of comprehension of laws. Even with the entire world in perspective, there are very few people who can comprehend laws much greater than their personal level of cultivation, yet Xinjian has done it. At the same time, I can feel that Xinjian did not make a breakthrough in his comprehension in our clan. In other words, his comprehension of the laws of the sword had already reached the level of God when he was still at the origin realm. When he struck out just then, I even felt that his comprehension of laws has exceeded mine. It's extremely likely that it has reached mid-God, said the ancestor. He was extremely envious. His cultivation level had reached early God many years ago, but he had never been able to break through to mid-God as he was unable to further his comprehension of laws. He was not the only one. Even the ancestor of the Lu family, Ando clan, and the god from the Atomo's sword sect were the same. The laws of the world limited their strengths, preventing them from becoming mid-gods. The patriarch was completely stunned. Xinjian, who had only broken through a few months ago, had actually comprehended the laws at the level of mid-god. In other words, did that not mean he could directly become a mid-god as long as he had sufficient resources? That would make him even more powerful than the ancestors of the four organizations. Yener actually saved a god. The patriarch shivered inside when he thought of that. Although Xinjian was only an early deity right now, the patriarch had already begun to treat him as a mid-god because his comprehension of laws had reached that level. He would be able to cultivate to mid-god without any obstructions, unlike the elders in the clan. Even though they had reached peak deity, they would not necessarily be able to break through to God for the rest of their lives. This was because cultivation could be slowly accumulated, while the comprehension of laws would not grow with cultivation. It was exactly because of how difficult it was to comprehend the laws of the world that peak reciprocity cultivators did not possess much status in the Mo clan. Xingfeng, come with me to visit Xinjian. Xinjian has always kept his strength concealed in our Mo clan. If it weren't for what happened today, we probably still wouldn't know he was a god. Since he doesn't want to expose his strength to the public, we'll follow through with his intentions. Don't raise the attention of others when we go visit, and keep what I told you today a secret, just in case you make Xinjian unhappy, understood? The ancestor said. He seemed like a rash man, but he was actually extremely sharp-minded. Yes, ancestor. I'll go arrange this immediately. At night on the same day, the entire clan was lit up brightly. Groups of guards patrolled around the clan. They were all expressionless and cold. Greetings to the Patriarch. Greetings to the Patriarch. Near the seventh hall, figures flickered before the light of the lanterns. The polite voices of patrolling guards would ring out. The Patriarch strode over with his hands behind his back. To no surprise, he was making his way towards where Shinjian resided. A person in black clothes followed the Patriarch silently. He moved without making a single sound. He wore a veiled hat that concealed his appearance and face, making him seem like a phantom through the night. The patrolling guards would even miss his existence if they did not pay close attention. Chapter 1702, Information regarding the treasure. The Patriarch directly arrived before the seventh hall. He did not directly enter and instead got a guard to pass on the message to Shinjian. He would only take the black-clothed person behind him into the hall after obtaining Shinjian's permission. Jianshen and Shinjian sat on chairs within the hall. They seemed like they had been waiting for quite some time already. There were two large and empty chairs placed before them. Please, Shinjian sat on his seat and gestured for the Patriarch and the black-clothed person to sit down while he studied the black-clothed man. Although Jianshen did not say anything, he also stared at the black-clothed man. The Patriarch laughed aloud and clasped his fist. Brother Shinjian, Brother Jianshen, looks like you already knew we were coming. I really must apologize that we've come so late. We've made you wait. There's no need to be so polite, Patriarch. We've disturbed you for several months now, with today in particular, causing quite a lot of problems. The Patriarch is already kind enough for not chasing us away. Shinjian clasped his fist back at him. The Patriarch shrugged indifferently and said, Brother Shinjian is exaggerating. It's all because the two of you that my daughter didn't suffer too much abuse. Really, it should be me thanking you instead. The Patriarch paused slightly after reaching this point. He looked at the person beside him, and he revealed an expression of reverence. He said, Brother Shinjian, Brother Jianshen, I'd like to introduce you to the ancestor of our Mo clan. The black-clothed person removed the veiled hat and revealed his bald head. The bald head shone brightly under candlelight, making it quite eye-catching. To no surprise, the man was the god of the Mo clan. With his strength, he did not need to give any prior warning when entering the halls. He could even directly enter the halls if he wished, and the guards would not discover him either. However, to show respect for Shinjian, he had gone through the usual process in this visit. I am Mo Ling. The two esteemed guests are far too polite. The ancestor clasped his fist towards Jianshen and Shinjian. He did not put on a haughty appearance at all. Jianshen and Shinjian both stood up to return the greetings of the ancestor. They asked about each other's well-being before all sitting down. I've been spending the recent years in secluded cultivation so that I could deepen my comprehension of the laws of the world and thus break through to mid-god. It has already been a very long time since I've paid attention to the affairs of the Mo clan. When Brother Shinjian struck out today, your powerful laws of the sword stirred me, and only after leaving seclusion did I discover that our Mo clan actually had an esteemed guest like Brother Shinjian. I have been impolite, so please forgive me, the ancestor said sincerely. He was telling the truth. If he had known Shinjian's strength earlier, he definitely would have emerged from seclusion much earlier on to receive him personally. Brother Mo Ling is just too polite. Speaking of which, the two of us were saved by the young lady of your esteemed clan. We still haven't been able to thank her, Shinjian said. Did something like that happen? Mo Ling purposefully acted surprised. He became slightly curious and asked, Brother Shinjian's comprehension of the laws of the world has completely exceeded mine, so I believe no deity is still Brother Shinjian's opponent. Was the person who injured Brother Shinjian a god? Shinjian did not reply. He looked at Jianshen as if he was directing the question to him. Jianshen thought through everything quickly before nodding back at him. However, Shinjian's actions had caught the interest of the ancestor of the Mo clan. He studied Jianshen secretly and tried to guess what was going on. This was because he could not tell Jianshen's strength accurately. Just from the vague presence he gave off, he felt that Jianshen was at the origin realm, yet also at godhood. He was unable to tell clearly. Brother Mo Ling is right. The person who injured the two of us back then was indeed a god, said Shinjian. There are only so many gods in our Dong'an province. May I ask who the god was? I might just happen to know them, so I'll be able to provide some information or even provide some secret help, said the ancestor. His face had already become rather stern. He had to be cautious about being drawn into the disagreements between other gods. It's the ancestor of the Lu family, Jian Chen said very calmly. It's actually Lu Tian. Mo Ling beamed with joy. He seemed slightly ecstatic. The patriarch who sat beside him smiled happily as well. At that moment, he suddenly felt his entire body lighten by a substantial amount. He still felt rather nervous when he learnt that the person who injured Shinjian and Jian Chen was a god. He was afraid of accidentally provoking the gods of other organizations. However, after learning that the god who injured Shinjian and Jian Chen was actually the ancestor of the Lu family, both of them became extremely relieved. Currently, the greatest threat that the Mo clan faced came from the Lu family. The Lu family had already become the greatest enemy of the Mo clan, yet Shinjian, whose comprehension had already reached mid-god and possessed extremely terrifying strength, just happened to have grievances with him as well. With that being that case, there was nothing they needed to fear when trying to rope in the two of them. They could even work together. If Shinjian wished to assist the Mo clan, then even if the Lu family and the Ando clan banded together, they would still be able to hold their ground. Jian Chen immediately became interested when he saw how relieved and joyful the patriarch and the ancestor had become. He asked, "Does your Mo clan have grievances with the Lu family?" "That's right. The Lu family is indeed the enemy of our Mo clan," Mo Ling said happily. After a moment of hesitation, determination flooded his eyes, and he said, "Brother Shinjian, Brother Jian Chen, I'll tell you the truth. Our Mo clan, the Lu family, and the Ando clan all possess a treasure. Through this treasure, we can enter a secret place that possesses great fortune. Originally, our three clans possessed rather similar power, so we were at peace with each other. However, ever since you appeared in our Mo clan, the balance was broken." Jian Chen's interest was piqued when he heard Mo Ling mention a treasure because he had also obtained a treasure from the hands of the Lu family. A gleam of light shone through Shinjian's eyes as well, but he did not show anything on his face. Mo Ling continued, "Yours talent is very great. She reached godhood in an extremely short amount of time, and if she were to continue with this speed, she would become a god before long. However, it was exactly because of Yuer's existence that the Lu family and the Ando clan became uneasy. They were afraid that Yuer would be able to grow to a point where she would directly threaten the two clans, where they might not even be able to keep their treasures any longer. As a result, the Lu family and the Ando clan had begun collaborating secretly in the past few years. They'll be waging a destructive war against our clan at any time. The collaboration between the Lu family and the Ando clan would mean that they possess two gods. Holding any one of them back with my own strength is no difficulty, but I'll only be able to flee desperately if I have to face both of them." Mo Ling looked at Shinjian and Jian Chen and asked sincerely, "Brother Shinjian, Brother Jian Chen, since you already have grievances with the Lu family, I hope you can work with us in fending off the two clans. As long as Brother Shinjian is willing to assist our Mo clan, we'll be willing to share the fortune granted by the treasure with you. Brother Mo Ling, may I ask if you recognize this?" At this moment, an exquisitely crafted box appeared in Jian Chen's hand. He opened it without any hesitation. An incomplete piece of jade lay inside quietly. Chapter 1703, Origins of the Jade. A mysterious presence enough to cause the depths of everyone's souls to shiver immediately permeated the surroundings as soon as the jade was exposed. It pressured the souls of everyone. Let alone deities, even gods would feel pressured before it. The moment the patriarch and the ancestor caught sight of the jade, they became stunned. Disbelief flooded their faces. They were no longer able to remain composed when they sensed the extremely familiar presence from the jade. Their faces suddenly changed and they leapt out of their seats. Their eyes had widened to the size of dinner plates in disbelief. "It's God King Duanmu's jade!" Mo Ling cried out uncontrollably. The presence the jade emitted could not be faked. He had even begun to doubt his eyes. God King Duanmu's jade? Looks like Fairy Hao Yu was right. This piece of jade really is the key to a God King's dwelling, while the fortune that Mo Ling was speaking of before must be this God King's tomb, Jian Chen celebrated secretly. This really was a case of searching around fruitlessly only for what they were looking for to find them. What he had been most disappointed about when he obtained the piece of jade was that he did not know where the other pieces were, or the location of the God King's dwelling, so he had deemed the piece of jade as a useless piece of trash. However, he had never thought that the patriarch of the Mo clan would just happen to know about the jade. Moreover, from the look of things, he seemed to know quite a lot. He even seemed to know where the other pieces of the jade were. "Brother Jian Chen, how do you have God King Duanmu's jade? Where did it come from?" Mo Ling asked urgently. Even though he had already thought of the possibility, he still wanted to confirm it from Jian Chen's mouth. It really was a coincidence now that we mention it. The treasure of the Lu family was actually stolen by a traitorous elder of theirs, Lu Fei. When Lu Fei fled with the treasure, we just happened to come across him. He wanted to use his unique cultivation method to devour us so that he could recover his wounds, but in the end, not only did he fail, he was slain by us instead. As a result, the treasure he stole ended up with us as well, Jian Chen said slowly as he smiled plainly. He had truly obtained the treasure through such coincidence. This God King Duanmu's jade really is the lifeblood of the Lu family. They cannot afford to lose it. Lu Tian must have tried to take it back with everything he had. "Brother Jian Chen, Brother Shenjian, if I've guessed correctly, you encountered Lu Tian soon after you had obtained the treasure and your wounds came from him," said Mo Ling. Only now did he realize that the Jian Chen he did not pay particular attention to was probably not as simple as he seemed. A treasure like God King Duanmu's jade was held by Jian Chen and not Shenjian, who had reached mid-god in his comprehension of laws. Just that showed that Jian Chen was no weaker than Shenjian. The patriarch of the Mo clan also realized this. At that moment, his gaze towards Jian Chen became rather surprised and doubtful. Jian Chen nodded, "You're right. Soon after we killed Lu Fei, the ancestor of the Lu family came in pursuit. He was certain that someone was scheming for Lu Tian to steal the treasure secretly, so he treated us as the people behind it all. As a result, we engaged him in a great battle. The battle was extremely dangerous, where we almost failed to make it out alive. Brother Jian Chen, Brother Shenjian, you're actually able to put up a fight against a god when you work together?" The patriarch cried out. Only now did he suddenly realize that Jian Chen, who everyone missed, actually possessed very great strength. Even before a god, he had the power to fight back. Shenjian said, "The patriarch really has overestimated me. Although my comprehension of the laws of the sword has reached the level of God, my personal cultivation was just too weak. Back then, I was only at the peak of reciprocity, so I could not fight back at all." Jian Chen handled the ancestor of the Lu family completely alone, but unfortunately, that fellow managed to escape in the end. What? Lu Tian escaped? Mo Ling and the ancestor both became stunned as disbelief flooded their faces. Their hearts churned wildly. Not only had Jian Chen fought against a god all by himself, but he even managed to chase the ancestor of the Lu family away in the end. This was just too astounding to them. At that moment, Mo Ling and the patriarch's opinion of Jian Chen changed completely. The patriarch, in particular, now looked towards Jian Chen with admiration from the bottom of his heart. Jian Chen did not dwell on the ancestor's topic. He pointed at the box on the table and said, "Patriarch, Brother Mo Ling, may I ask for some information regarding the jade?" "Of course you can. I'll answer all your questions to the best of my knowledge," Mo Ling agreed straightforwardly. He calmed himself down before tidying his thoughts. Memories flooded his eyes, and he said, We know this piece of jade as God King Duanmu's jade because the jade contains a sliver of the power from God King Duanmu's soul. As a result, it's also the only key to God King Duanmu's dwelling. We don't know much regarding God King Duanmu himself. We've only learnt from some ancient records passed down by our ancestors that God King Duanmu had passed away in his dwelling for some reason. He had a disciple before he died. Soon after God King Duanmu passed away, the disciple faced the ambush of 6 experts outside the dwelling. Although the disciple was an over-god, the 6 experts were also over-gods, so none of them were any weaker than God King Duanmu's disciple. As a result, the disciple could not even flee against the encirclement of the 6 over-gods. He died in the end. After the disciple died, the jade that he used to enter the dwelling ended up with the 6 over-gods. However, as the over-gods all possessed selfish motives, they all began fighting over the ownership of the jade, resulting in an intense battle in the end. In that battle, half of the 6 over-gods died, leaving only 3 people alive in the end. The 3 people all suffered different wounds as well, while the God King Duanmu's jade was shattered into 3 pieces, where each over-god possessed a piece. Chapter 1704, Joining Forces. Due to their limited talent, it was extremely difficult for those 3 over-gods to reach God King, so they wanted to search for a fortuitous encounter in God King Duanmu's dwelling so that they could break through. Hence, they secretly struck an agreement of non-aggression. Afterwards, the 3 over-gods would often work together to enter God King Duanmu's dwelling. However, God King Duanmu was a god king after all, and he was rumored to be one who had made it onto the God King's throne. Although he had failed to make it to the top 1,000, his strength was still extremely terrifying, belonging to the very apex of God Kings. Even after passing away, what he had cast down in his dwelling remained extremely powerful, making it difficult for even over-gods to venture inside. The 3 over-gods entered God King Duanmu's dwelling many times, but they still failed to reach the very core of the place. Instead, they became quite injured from the formations within the dwelling and even suffered injuries to the sources of their lives, leaving behind injuries that were almost impossible to recover from. Perhaps they understood that they would never be able to reach the center of God King Duanmu's dwelling for the rest of their lives, but the 3 over-gods were unwilling to see everything they had strived towards in all those years go to waste. As a result, they all founded their own clans and passed down the information regarding God King Duanmu's jade to their most important juniors. Jian Chen's interest was piqued and the ancestor spoke until there. He said, "Are the clans founded by the 3 over-gods the Mo clan, the Lu family, and the Ando clan?" Mo Ling nodded, "Correct, it's our Mo clan, the Lu family, and the Ando clan." The knowledge of God King Duanmu's jade was carefully guarded by the 3 clans, where only members of the upper echelon had the right to know. Mo Ling stared at Jian Chen deeply. This was the first time their Mo clan had told an outsider about this important news. However, Mo Ling had no choice. Jian Chen and Shen Jian were so powerful that the Mo clan needed to rope them in regardless of the price, or they definitely would not be able to fend off the combined attack of the Lu family and the Ando clan. Without any doubt, the matter regarding God King Duanmu's jade was important, but to Mo Ling and the Patriarch, the clan was very important as well. Clearly, they had chosen between the 2 and had opted to protect the clan. Although they could reveal the information to the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province and seek help from them, Mo Ling was also worried that these clans might not end up helping in the end and would instead turn against them once they learned about God King Duanmu's jade. However, revealing the matter to Jian Chen and Shen Jian was the safest method in Mo Ling's eyes. This was because the talents of Jian Chen and Shen Jian were just far too impressive. They would definitely be deemed as prodigies if they joined any peak clan with what they possessed, so just what they could receive to nurture them would be worth much more than a god king's dwelling. Then what about the ancestor who founded your 3 clans? Jian Chen asked. This was the matter he truly cared about. Those over-gods were terrifying existences who could run amok in the entire Dong'an province without anyone to stop them. If they were still alive, he needed to be careful, and he would have to hold off his plans against the Lu family. Mo Ling's face sank. The ancestor of our Mo clan and the other two clans suffered from incurable injuries at the very source of their lives from their injuries in the dwelling, so they became weaker and weaker. After the ancestors took us into the God King's dwelling for one last time, they never appeared again. They've already fallen in the God King's dwelling. Jian Chen immediately let out a breath of relief. As long as the over-god ancestor of the Lu family was dead, he had nothing to worry about. Mo Ling, can God King Duanmu's dwelling only be opened when the 3 pieces of jade are assembled? Shen Jian asked. Mo Ling nodded, correct. As long as the 3 pieces of jade are combined, you'll be able to enter God King Duanmu's dwelling. However, the dwelling is rather strange. There isn't any origin energy in there to be absorbed, so once you overwork yourself, the only way to recover would be through pills and a few heavenly resources. As a result, our 3 clans have always made sufficient preparations before we entered the dwelling. Now that the Lu family's piece is in Brother Jian Chen's hand, we have a total of 2 pieces on our side if you include the piece from our clan. We just lack the piece of jade from the Ando clan, the patriarch said rather excitedly. Jian Chen and Shen Jian looked at one another. Now that the whereabouts of all the pieces of jade were known, the 2 of them became interested in working with the Mo clan. After all, it was a God King's dwelling. It possessed treasures that could even interest over gods, where they would even be willing to lay down their lives. Jian Chen, you have to enter God King Duanmu's dwelling, so quickly agree to work with the Mo clan, and then get the piece of jade from the Ando clan as soon as possible. Fairy Hao Yu's voice suddenly rang out in Jian Chen's head at this moment. Jian Chen gritted his teeth and said, Brother Mo Ling, we'll help you fend off the Lu family, Ando clan, or even the problems caused by the Atomo sword sect. We want you to take us into God King Duanmu's dwelling in return. Alright, no problem, Mo Ling immediately agreed enthusiastically. Their temporary teamwork was agreed upon just like this. Afterwards, Jian Chen also told them about the high-grade divine crystals that had appeared in the Dark Cloud Mountains for the Lu family. However, there was nothing that Mo Ling could do about that. All he could do was stand to one side and watch on, as their clan did not possess the power to interfere. After all, the current Mo clan was no longer the same as the past. Ever since their over-god ancestors had died, the Mo clan, Lu family, and Ando clan had all gradually declined. The patriarch left the hall with Mo Ling. When they left, Mo Ling put on the black, veiled hat again to cover up his appearance, leaving with an extremely low profile. No one else in the Mo clan knew that their god ancestor had already emerged from seclusion quietly and had a lengthy conversation with Jian Chen and Shen Jian. Before they left, the patriarch left behind a hefty gift. It was a space ring with 2 million low-grade divine crystals. It was exactly because I ran out of divine crystals that I wanted to find you. I never thought that the patriarch would gift us such a large pile. I think I'll be able to reach mid-deity in a month at most. Shen Jian showed no politeness to Jian Chen. He directly took the 2 million divine crystals and continued his cultivation. Jian Chen smiled and did not mind the divine crystals being taken away. As long as there were sufficient time and resources, he even wished for Shen Jian to reach late deity before dealing with the Lu family ancestor. After all, the stronger he was, the more difficult it would be for the Lu family ancestor to escape. In the morning of the next day, Mo Yen clearly sensed that her father seemed to have become a completely different person overnight. He smiled happily all day long. Not only did he look at her with a much stranger gaze, but he constantly praised her, completely confusing Mo Yen as to what had happened. The Atomo's sword sect resided in a mist-shrouded mountain range. Currently, the sect master and all their elders had gathered within a hall. This included the young master, Mo Shan, and Mo Yun. However, both the young master and Mo Yun's right sleeves were empty, making it quite evident that they had lost an arm. The Mo clan is just too arrogant. They actually severed the arm of Elder Mo Shan. They've basically slapped us in the face. We went with such great gifts to propose the marriage. It would be fine if the Mo clan just turned them down, yet they had to take the arm of Elder Mo Shan as well. Even Yu Fan has been injured. They've gone too far, the elders of the sect all spoke righteously. Although none of them liked Yu Fan, they were close to Mo Shan and Mo Yun. Seeing how Mo Yun had been humiliated, they all became extremely furious. The sect master sat on the throne there with a sunken face as well. Yu Fan was his only son. He had basically raised his son in the palms of his hands, spoiling him greatly. He could not even bear to scold or hit him normally. As his son had suffered greatly after visiting the Mo clan, he was furious as well. Killing intent surged from him as his eyes had almost become ablaze with rage. No matter what the reason is, the Mo clan actually dares to sever my son's arm. We'll sever their hopes in response then, the sect master said icily. That's right, sect master. We have to make the Mo clan pay a price to show them that we, the Automo's sword sect, cannot be trifled with, an elder said with a clasped fist. The sect master nodded slightly as icy cold killing intent surged from his eyes. He said grimly, "Don't worry, this matter won't just end like this. When the Lu family and the Ando clan attack the Mo clan, I'll request the ancestor to personally step in and kill Shiyu so that the Mo clan can writhe in pain as well. The Mo clan is almost done for anyway, so there is no need for us to fear them." Chapter 1705, Mid-Deity in the Blink of an Eye. A month had passed since Shinjian severed Mo Yun's arm. Although Shinjian had not formally become the seventh elder of the Mo clan, all the elders in the clan held him in high esteem after he revealed his shocking strength. Everyone became clearly more enthusiastic towards him, and they even possessed more admiration and politeness. With the increase in his status, the elders in the Mo clan would often visit the seventh hall to see him, but without any exceptions, they all failed to see Shinjian. Even Jianchen rarely appeared in the Mo clan. Both of them had entered secluded cultivation, so the visiting elders could only leave without seeing anyone. Among the people of the Mo clan, only the patriarch and the ancestor of the Mo clan knew just how powerful Jianchen and Shinjian were. Only they understood that Jianchen, who always maintained a low profile, was the strongest. However, the patriarch and the ancestor guarded this secret extremely tightly. They did not tell a third person, not even Shiyu. This was because the existence of Jianchen and Shinjian had become the greatest trump card of the Mo clan. They were their greatest source of confidence, as well as what they would rely on the most against the Lu family and the Ando clan. Shinjian had remained in secluded cultivation for the entire month, working towards mid-deity. As for Jianchen, he had entered seclusion to comprehend the way of the sword as he could not make any progress with his chaotic body. I can refine the first strand of profound sword chi at the major achievement of sword origin and the second strand at great perfection. I can refine the third at the major achievement of sword spirit, the fourth at the great perfection of sword spirit, the fifth at the major achievement of sword immortal, and so on. However, if I want to refine all 9 strands, I'll have to reach sword god. Jianchen's calm eyes shone sharply like swords as he sat within the room. Just his gaze had illuminated the gloomy room slightly. The sword spirit said that sword god is no longer divided into minor achievement, partial achievement, and major achievement. Sword god is the limits of the way of the sword. Countless powerful immortals across the entire immortals world use swords, but only the old master of the twin swords and the nirvanic sword immortal were able to reach sword god. Looks like sword god is equivalent to 100% of the laws in the saints' world, Jianchen thought. Comprehending 100% of the laws was reaching the limit. Someone who could achieve that would have already fused with the way itself, becoming part of the world and representing the way. They would be supreme, an extremely terrifying existence. Sword god is still too distant for me. I only wish to reach the great perfection of sword origin right now. Once I reach that, I'll be able to refine the second strand of profound sword chi. Not only will it strengthen the first strand I possess right now, but I'll be able to use the profound sword chi twice as well. Back then, the ancestor of the Lu family had only managed to survive my first strand of profound sword chi with his strength at early god and after wasting away several defensive treasures. If he did not possess those defensive treasures, my first strand of profound sword chi might have slain him. If I reach the major achievement of sword origin, the profound sword chi will become powerful enough to deal with the ancestor of the Lu family. Even if he has defensive treasures, they won't be able to stop my profound sword chi as long as they're not astoundingly great. If I use both strands, I might even be able to kill mid-gods, Jian Chen thought. He was filled with eagerness. Under the situation where he could not make any progress with his chaotic body, the only way for him to become stronger was to break through with his comprehensions of the laws of the sword. If he reached the great perfection of sword origin and refined the second strand of profound sword chi, there would be less than a handful of people left in the Dong'an province that could threaten him. I've already remained at the major achievement of sword origin for quite some time now. Great perfection is only a step away, so I'll be able to reach it as long as I have some more time. Jian Chen's eyes became extremely deep and profound. It was extremely difficult for other people to make any progress in the comprehension of laws, and they would require lengthy periods of comprehension. However, Jian Chen only needed a period of time that seemed insignificant to others if he wanted to make any progress in the laws of the sword. After all, Jian Chen's talent was exceedingly great. He was extremely compatible with the way of the sword, basically making him a natural expert of the sword. At this moment, a powerful presence suddenly appeared nearby. At the same time, the origin energy in the surroundings began to churn, forming a tremendous whirl of origin energy before long around the 7th hall in the Mo clan. Shen Jian has broken through. Jian Chen's eyes lit up and he immediately emerged from seclusion. At the same time, the eyes of the 6 other elders all snapped open at the same time in their own residences. They looked towards the 7th hall, and they were all shocked. This is Shen Jian's presence. He actually broke through again? How does Shen Jian cultivate so quickly? He only reached early deity a few months ago, yet he has broken through to mid-deity already. How does Shen Jian cultivate? It has only been a few months, yet he has gone from early deity to mid-deity. If this continues, it won't be long before he reaches God. How is his talent even more impressive than Shiyu's? None of the elders were able to remain composed anymore. They all stared at the 7th hall in shock. Only the patriarch remained calm as if he had been expecting it all. The patriarch of the Mo clan and the 6 elders all gathered outside Shen Jian's residence to congratulate him for breaking through. There were only so many elders across the entire Mo clan. For them, any improvement in strength was an extremely difficult matter, so whenever someone at godhood broke through, it would be something that the entire clan would celebrate. Jian Chen stood in the center of the hall in his white robes. Although he did not emit any presences at all, he seemed to have become a sharp sword. Jian Chen's eyes were not as calm as they were normally either. They had become extraordinarily sharp, like drawn swords that shone with a luster they were supposed to possess. He had already been waiting for several months for Shen Jian to reach mid-deity. Jian Chen looked outside. His sharp gaze seemed to pierce through the various obstacles, allowing him to see the patriarch and the elder standing outside. His lips twitched, and he sent a message to the guards outside, "Tell them to leave. Tell them that Shen Jian is continuing his cultivation and is not seeing anyone." The peak reciprocity guard who heard Jian Chen's voice immediately became hesitant. The people he would be telling off were all the godhood elders in the Mo clan after all, and this would even include the current patriarch of the clan. However, the guard only hesitated for a split second before he walked over politely and passed on Jian Chen's message to them. The patriarch did not mind at all. After chuckling aloud, he clasped his fist towards the 7th hall before leaving with Shiyu. He showed no displeasure at all. The other elders all smiled resplendently before returning to their residences as well. "This Shen Jian is acting even more haughty than me," Shiyu said rather unhappily beside the patriarch. She did not mind the fact that Shen Jian did not want to see the other elders. He did possess such strength after all. However, he had gone too far in not seeing her father. After all, her father was the current patriarch of the Mo clan. Do not be rude." However, before Shiyu could even finish her words, the patriarch's face changed slightly, and he immediately scolded her sternly. Shiyu was stunned. She had rarely seen her father show such a stern expression. Father? Shiyu was rather perplexed. Even though Shenjian was very powerful, chopping off Mo Yun's arm in a single stroke, there was just no need for her father to act like that. The patriarch told Shiyu sternly, You have to be polite towards brother Jian Chen and Shenjian in the future. Be respectful. Do not make them displeased, understood? With that, the patriarch directly left. He had watched Shiyu grow up, so he trusted her dearly. Although he could not tell her directly about the strength that Jian Chen and Shenjian possessed, he had already expressed a few things to her secretly and discreetly. Shiyu stared at her father's back. The patriarch's words rang through her head as she became both surprised and doubtful. Chapter 1706, A Gathering of Gods. After reaching mid-deity, Shenjian spent several days consolidating his cultivation before he emerged from secluded cultivation. When do we set off? Shenjian immediately asked when he saw Jian Chen. The two of them spared the small talk, as they no longer needed things like that with their current relationship. Tonight, said Jian Chen. He revealed heavy killing intent in his eyes. The ancestor of the Lu family knew his greatest secret, so he needed to eliminate the ancestor regardless of the price. Shenjian nodded. Even if he were alone, he could put up a fight against an early god after breaking through to mid-deity, coupled with his major achievement of sword origin. If Jian Chen were present, killing an early god would no longer be a problem. On the same night, Jian Chen and Shenjian left the Mo clan quietly. Only the god in the Mo clan, the ancestor, seemed to have sensed their departure, while everyone else, including the patriarch, knew nothing. From within the depths of the Mo clan, Mo Ling stared outside as his eyes shone with an eager light. He murmured, Looks like Shenjian and Jian Chen are already moving against the Lu family. They've already become rather eager just after breaking through. Looks like they're vengeful people, yet they just happen to possess such great power and talent as well. We can't offend people like that no matter what, unless we are completely confident about killing them. Otherwise, even those large clans and sects across the Saints' world won't be able to withstand their wrath once they fully mature. Just how lucky was Mo Yen? Just some people she saved outside would be so impressive. I wonder if they're a blessing or a curse to our Mo clan. In the present at the very least, they're a blessing I guess. Shenjian and Jian Chen shot towards the Lu family. Under their full speed, they crossed over 1 billion kilometers in just a few hours and arrived near the Lu family. This time, Jian Chen and Shenjian had come prepared. They had complete confidence in preventing the Lu family ancestor from fleeing like last time. Once the ancestor of the Lu family was dead, the other people in the Lu family would no longer be able to pose a threat to the two of them at all. At that time, all the wealth that the Lu family had accumulated across the years would belong to them. Although the wealth might not be enough for Jian Chen to reach the 10th layer of the chaotic body, it would be more than enough for Shenjian to break through again. It might even be enough for him to directly become a god. Once Shenjian became a god, they would have the power to put up a fight even against the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province with Jian Chen and Mo Ling backing him up. Oh no, so many gods have appeared in the Lu family. However, Jian Chen's face changed as soon as they approached the Lu family. He and Shenjian immediately erased their presences and approached carefully. These gods all gave off powerful presences in the Lu family, and with so many standing close to one another, the presence became even stronger. It could even be sensed from far away, so Jian Chen had discovered the gods while they had not discovered him as they were too distant. Jian Chen and Shenjian approached the Lu family carefully. They discovered from afar that there were actually 6 gods in the air above the Lu family. They were all bathed in light, making it impossible to see them clearly. They stood there as 6 sources of light that illuminated the surroundings while their clashing presences enveloped the entire Lu family. Lu family, think about it. Are you willing to work with our Dessen clan? At this moment, a dignified voice rang out from above the Lu family. One of the gods had spoken. Lu family, our Shangyan clan sincerely invites you to join forces with us. What do you think of it? A second dignified voice rang out as well. It was another god. Our Jin family invites the patriarch of the Lu family to visit. Our Kang family also invites the patriarch of the Lu family to visit. All 6 gods above the Lu family spoke out. They all represented their own powerful clans. From afar, Jian Chen and Shen Jian became stern when they saw this scene. They were not unfamiliar with the clans that these 6 gods represented. They were all from the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province. Any single one of them was far more powerful than the Mo clan, Atomo's sword sect, Ando clan, or Lu family. This was because the minimum standard to gain a footing in the provincial city was to possess 3 early gods, and that was only the minimum. In reality, many of the clans in the provincial city possessed mid-gods or even late gods. Looks like news of the Lu family's high-grade divine crystal mine has been leaked and many more powerful clans have learned about it, Shen Jian said gruffly. What they least wanted to see had finally happened. At this moment, another god's presence rapidly appeared from the distance. An old man flew towards the Lu family with lightning speed. His face sunk drastically when he saw the several gods gathered in the sky. Ancestor, you've finally returned. The patriarch of the Lu family immediately became relieved when he saw the old man arrive. The gathering of gods from many powerful clans in the Dong'an province had pressured the patriarch of the Lu family heavily. The old man was the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Tian. At such an important moment, he had finally hurried back from the royal city. However, he had never expected the matter that he least wanted to see would happen as soon as he had come back. Lu Tian hovered in the sky with a sunken face. After a moment of silence, he clasped his hands towards the gods and said, "Everyone, please gather in the main hall." The 6 gods all clasped their fists towards Lu Tian. After all, Lu Tian was also a fellow god. He possessed a similar status to them. They all followed Lu Tian into the Lu family. Looks like we can't kill Lu Tian for now, Jian Chen said to Shen Jian secretly while keeping his presence hidden. Shen Jian nodded and asked, "What do we do now?" After a moment of silence, Jian Chen gritted his teeth, "Let's go to the Dark Cloud Mountains and hope that the powerful clans haven't sent anyone there." Immediately, the 2 of them set off. A black-clothed man stood before a middle-aged man in luxurious robes in a bow within a large manor in the provincial city. "Patriarch, the news about the Dark Cloud Mountains has been leaked. Quite a few clans in the provincial city have learned about it, and several gods have already gone to the Lu family," said the black-clothed man. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed and he sighed gently. "It has already been leaked? Looks like you really can't contain fire with paper. We've already devoted ourselves to locking down the news, yet they still learned about it. It's just that they're moving a little too quickly. Ancestor Yen is still out journeying right now. Zhan Yi, you can go." Under the request of the ancestor from the Lu family, Ando Fu emerged from a cave while guarding the Dark Cloud Mountains. He said helplessly, "The powerful clans have still ended up learning about this place in the end. Sigh, all those gods have already gone to the Lu family. Before long, someone else will own this mine. There's no point in me guarding this place any longer." Ando Fu arrived at the chasm and directly found one of the elders stationed there. He said, "The people of the Dong'an province have already gone to the Lu family, so I've also completed Lu Tian's request. I am going to leave soon." The elder bowed towards Ando Fu politely before offering up a space ring. He said, "We've troubled Senior." Ando Fu accepted the space ring and checked through it. He nodded in satisfaction before leaving without any reluctance at all. Chapter 1707, Robbery 2. The elder stationed at the mine watched Ando Fu leave, and his polite expression disappeared rapidly. It was replaced by a sneer. "The ancestor of the Ando clan sure has a large appetite. He has only cultivated here for a few months, yet he wants half of our divine crystals. Even though it's only half of all the divine crystals we've excavated in a few months, the miners are no longer the sainthood cultivators from before but the origin realm guards of our Lu family. It would obviously be much faster. I really wonder why the patriarch would agree to such a deal. In my opinion, just giving him a third would have been more than enough. The elder sighed when he reached this point. Regret covered his face. It's just a pity that the mysterious expert who attacked us a few months ago did not appear again. We've let the Ando clan benefit from this so easily. A short old man flew over from away. He bowed towards the elder and said, "Elder Lu Yun, we've been collecting more and more high-grade divine crystals recently. This one believes that the mine is extremely likely to be a high-grade one. Elder Lu Yu, please take a look at this." The old man quickly pulled out a transparent crystal the size of a head from his space ring. It was a high-grade divine crystal. Even for Elder Lu Yun, it was the first time he had seen such a large piece of high-grade divine crystal. He immediately became surprised, but gloom soon replaced his surprise. He sighed, "Let alone it being high-grade, we can't even do anything if it was supreme grade. It's not going to belong to us soon. The only thing we can blame is our lack of power to protect this treasure. Pass on the order that everyone much speed up their excavation. Gods of the Dong'an province have appeared in the clan, so they'll appear here very soon. We have to excavate as many high-grade divine crystals as possible before that happens." "Yes, Elder Lu Yun. I'll pass on the order immediately." The old man became stern as well, and he ran off quickly. This old man was the supervisor of the mine before, but ever since an elder was stationed here a few months ago, he was reduced to a miner. Aside from him, even the guards there had become miners. No one sat around idly apart from the elder. Before long, two figures shot over through the outskirts of the dark cloud mountains. They moved extremely quickly, arriving above the chasm in the mountains in a few moments. They radiated with powerful sword intent that flooded the surroundings. This chasm was where the high-grade divine crystal mine was located. The elder's face changed suddenly in the depths of the chasm. He suddenly turned his head towards the sky and saw two figures slowly descend. One of them only seemed to be in 20s, and his white robes and hair ruffled in the wind. His handsome face possessed a strong resolution, while his eyes were as sharp as swords. The other person was a gray-robed, middle-aged man. His appearance was nothing special, and he was the type that would not raise any attention at all. However, even with his ordinary appearance, he still radiated with sword chi that was powerful enough to cause Lu Yun to shiver. It was to the point where Lu Yun did not feel like he was facing a man but a sword. The two of them were Jian Chen and Shen Jian. "It's you." Lu Yun's face changed when he saw Jian Chen and Shen Jian. Although this was the first time he had seen the duo personally, he was completely familiar with them. The Lu family had spent quite the effort in searching for the two of them and had learnt long ago that they always remained in the Mo clan. The ancestor feared them, so he never went to settle his debt with the Mo clan. At the same time, when the mine was attacked several months before, they found out that it was Jian Chen who was responsible. Jian Chen and Shen Jian had become the greatest enemies of the Lu family long ago. They've come with hostile intent. Have they come to rob us of our divine crystals again? God damn it, why couldn't they've come a little earlier or later? They just had to choose this time. Did that old bastard Ando Fu know that they were coming so he left early? No, I have to report to the ancestor as soon as possible. It's impossible to stop the two of them without a god. Lu Yun became extremely grim. With a flip of his hand, a jade talisman that was designed for communication appeared in his hand. He was activating it. But at this moment, the surrounding temperature suddenly plummeted. Snow filled the skies. Lu Yun only saw a dazzling flash of light, and his wrist was cleaved off. Blood spurted out like a fountain. Jian Shen had appeared before Lu Yun silently with the flying snow sword. He held the jade talisman that Lu Yun was activating in his left hand. Lu Yun grunted. He stared at Jianchen, who seemed to have teleported before him in shock. He endured the intense pain from his wrist while retreating. At the same time, his heart churned. A god. He's definitely a god. Only a god can make me so helpless. We're done for. We're done for. Lu Yun's face became filled with intense reluctance. He knew that he would struggle to protect his own wealth before a god. Even if he fought desperately, it would not change anything. Jianchen stared at Lu Yun and said plainly, "You should be an elder of the Lu family. Seeing how all your cultivation hasn't been easy, I don't want to kill you. Hand over your space ring. You should understand what's more important between your life or your wealth. You better think it through. I'll leave the outside to you." "I'm going down the mines to have a look," said Shenjian before disappearing in a flash. Only a few seconds later, a few surprised and miserable cries rang out from the mines. Lu Yun became even more sorrowful when he sensed the activity in the mines. He felt extremely reluctant. He had already realized that Shenjian was collecting space rings from the people in the mines. "Take it. I hope you keep your word." Lu Yun closed his eyes. Then he removed his space ring from his finger before directly tossing it to Jianchen. Jianchen caught Lu Yun's space ring casually. He stared at Lu Yun deeply and smiled. "And the one on your head?" Lu Yun's face froze when he heard that. He stared at Jianchen in complete reluctance and said nothing, obediently undoing his hair and taking out a space ring to give to Jianchen. Jianchen played around with the two space rings before immediately sending his soul inside to check on the items inside. Joy immediately flooded his face. Just the divine crystals within the two space rings had exceeded his harvest last time because the divine crystals were mostly mid and high grade. Very soon, Shenjian returned from the mines and nodded towards Jianchen. He revealed an expression of satisfaction. With a flip of his hand, the space rings Jianchen had obtained from Lu Yun vanished. Then he left with Shenjian. The two of them had come and left quickly. After all, the robbery of space rings was evidently much simpler than before. They basically wasted no time talking. After the two of them departed, all the miners hurried out of the mines in a panic. "Oh no! Elder Lu Yun, someone has entered the mines and stolen all our space rings. They stole all the divine crystals we've excavated after so much hard work." Chapter 1708, Movements of the Lu family. Jianchen and Shenjian sat on the ground in the 7th hall of the Mo clan as they sorted through what they had obtained this time. They casually threw the several hundred space rings on the ground. To one side, a large number of divine crystals had been sorted into 3 piles according to their grades. They had all formed mountainous piles now as dense origin energy revolved around the 3 piles, forming a thin mist. At this moment, the origin energy was so dense that there was no longer any need to absorb the divine crystals. Just sitting around the piles would allow people to cultivate at terrifying speeds. There were very few low-grade divine crystals and many mid-grade crystals. There were even quite a few high-grade divine crystals. The most eye-catching part was the head-sized high-grade divine crystal on top of one of the piles. The standard for a divine crystal was around the size of a finger, a cube that was 1 centimeter in length, width, and depth. If a fist-sized divine crystal was cut up, it would amount to several dozen or even hundreds of divine crystal at standard size. With that as a comparison, a head-sized divine crystal would be equivalent to several thousand divine crystals of standard size. Several thousand high-grade divine crystals were equivalent to several 100,000 mid-grade divine crystals and several tens of million low-grade divine crystals. Just the single head-sized divine crystal was great wealth to Jianchen and Shenjian. Shenjian picked up the head-sized divine crystal and stroked it fondly. He clicked his tongue. "I never thought that we'd harvest so much this time. Just this divine crystal exceeds everything you robbed last time." Jianchen also turned his gaze to the divine crystal. He nodded. "If you use this high-grade divine crystal to cultivate, it'll be a little too wasteful." It'll just feel like you're wasting it. In my opinion, we should exchange it for low-grade divine crystals. With our current cultivation level, low-grade divine crystals are the best for cultivation. The difference in value between each grade was 100 times more. However, that did not mean that the origin energy within a mid-grade divine crystal was 100 times denser than the origin energy within a low-grade divine crystal. In reality, it was only a few times denser, 10 times at most. It was just that the origin energy in mid-grade divine crystals was much purer, where divine crystals would become several times more expensive even if they were just slightly purer. This was why each grade was worth 100 times more than the previous one, even if the origin energy was only several times denser. There was another reason aside from that. The higher an individual's cultivation, the greater the requirement on the grade of divine crystals became. If a god king wanted to use divine crystals to cultivate, they would require high or supreme quality divine crystals at the very least. If they used mid or low grade divine crystals, there would be almost no effect. It would not even be as fast as just absorbing the origin energy in the surroundings. As a result, the higher the grade of a divine crystal, the more valuable it was. We'll keep this high-grade divine crystal for now. We can decide to use it or break it into low-grade divine crystals in the future, said Jian Chen. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he became stunned and turned around. A bald man stood there silently. He was the ancestor of the Mo clan. Mo Ling glanced past the 3 piles of divine crystals on the ground and became surprised. He clasped his fist and asked, "Brother Jian Chen, Brother Shenjian, was the operation successful?" Jian Chen and Shenjian obviously understood that Mo Ling was referring to whether they succeeded in taking the ancestor of the Lu family's life. The more powerful clans in the Dong'an province have already learnt about the Lu family's mine. Several gods have gathered in the Lu family right now, so we had no opportunity to do it, said Jian Chen. His voice bore some regret. Mo Ling became stern. He made his way before Jian Chen by himself and sat down on the ground like Jian Chen. He said, "It's extremely bad if several gods across the Dong'an province have gathered in the Lu family. With the Lu family's current strength, they'll definitely hand over the mine, but they'll be able to benefit quite a lot from the powerful clans. What I worry the most about is if the Lu family will get those clans to come to deal with us." Jian Chen and Shenjian became stern as well. After a moment of silence, Mo Ling shook his head. "I might be thinking too much. What the Lu family wants the most right now is God King Duamu's jade. They can ask a powerful clan to come to deal with our Mo clan, but they'll also worry that we'll leak the news of the jade to the powerful clan. Once they learn about the God King Duanmu's jade, they might even turn against the Lu family in order to keep the matter a secret. The Lu family and the Ando clan run the risk of being devastated, so the Lu family will never take that risk. Regardless, the matter at hand is to increase our own strength as much as possible. As long as we're powerful enough, even the powerful clans of the Dong'an province won't be able to do anything to us," Jian Chen said with a deep voice. Mo Ling left very soon, while Jian Chen and Shenjian both entered seclusion after tidying through the divine crystals. Shenjian wanted to reach late deity as soon as possible, while Jian Chen could only continue his comprehension of the laws of the sword as he could not further his chaotic body right now. The next day, the high-grade divine crystal mine in the Dark Cloud Mountains was leaked to the outside world. It caused an uproar in the Dong'an province, while all the powerful clans in the province sent their gods to personally visit the Lu family. The Lu family felt extremely helpless towards the situation. The 6 clans that had sent representatives were only mid- or low-level clans in comparison. The mid-level clans would still maintain their basic courtesy when dealing with Lu family, basically inviting the Lu family to work with them. The high-grade crystal mine still belonged to the Lu family at that time, after all. However, as the 3 most powerful clans entered the scene, the Lu family's ownership over the high-grade divine crystal mine became completely irrelevant. The Lu family did not become angered about this. They had been expecting this outcome, so they had mentally prepared themselves long ago. After the three most powerful clans in the Dong'an province directly took over the mines, all the gods gathered in the Lu family returned to the provincial city as well. They went there to continue the discussions about the mine. Even when the three most powerful clans in the Dong'an province worked together, they would not be able to claim the mine for themselves because there were over a dozen other powerful clans in total. When the slightly weaker clans worked together, they would be able to pressure the three most powerful clans. After all, they could become the most powerful clans because they possessed a late god. They could not afford to offend too many gods. At the same time, the Dark Cloud Mountains was completely taken away by the Dong'an province. The three most powerful clans all sent a god to personally guard the place, while all the people from the Lu family retreated. Lu Tian sat in the patriarch's seat within the discussion hall of the Lu family. He listened to the reports of the elders. The Mo clan is getting more and more arrogant. They've come time and time again to rob our clan of our divine crystals. Do they really think they can look down on us just because they've managed to invite a god to their side? Lu Tian said coldly and furiously. Not only had the Mo clan stolen the treasure that belonged to his Lu family, but they had even robbed their excavated divine crystals several times. It had made everyone furious long ago. Ancestor, let's do it with the Ando clan, the patriarch requested. Lu Tian sat on the patriarch's seat emotionlessly as cold killing intent wrapped around him. He said icily, with the appearance of the high-grade divine crystal mine, the powerful clans are gradually shifting their attention towards our region. We can't delay the operation against the Mo clan any long, or I worry that the existence and information regarding the God King Duanmu's jade will be leaked. After all, our three clans are no longer locked in a stalemate. It's a perfect opportunity for us to deal with the Mo clan while the powerful clans are still arguing with each other over the mine in the provincial city and have not shifted their attention to us. Lu Tian's expression became stern. He called out, "Pass the orders to have everyone to prepare for battle. Contact the patriarch of the Ando clan to send troops to the Mo clan." Chapter 1709, Poison God Datura. With the ancestor of the Lu family's orders, the entire Lu family began to move. 7 of their 9 deities, comprised of the patriarch and the 8 elders, were mobilized. They only left behind the patriarch and the injured Lu Yun. Close to 1,000 guards and clansmen were mobilized, directly using 90% of their force. They only left behind 100 people to protect the clan. At the same time, basically all the precious treasures that the Lu family had accumulated across the years were used. They distributed various powerful formation discs, healing pills, and recovery pills among the people. The Lu family had already been preparing for quite some time for the battle against the Mo clan, so they moved extremely quickly once the orders were given. Very soon, a large group of Origin Realm cultivators was assembled under the lead of several elders. All of them were prepared, stern and radiating with killing intent. The grey-robed Lu Tian hovered in the sky at the forefront of the group. With his back towards the group, the powerful presence of a god radiated from him. It immediately caused the clouds to churn and the wind to blow. His gaze filled with killing intent was fixed towards the east. That was where the royal city of the divine kingdom of Pingtian was located. Before long, a vague figure appeared in the distant horizon. They flew over with extremely great speed. The appearance of the figure made Lu Tian reveal an indetectable smile as if victory was within his grasps. Even if the Mo clan possessed an additional god of mysterious origins, he was still confident about emerging victorious in the end in his operation to destroy the Mo clan. A few seconds later, the figure arrived before the ancestor of the Lu family. It was a young lady in a green dress. She seemed to be around 27 or 28 years old. She gave off a mature feeling, except a strange pattern on her face destroyed her beauty, making her seem rather strange. He, Lu Tian, I haven't come late, have I? The lady giggled. She directly called Lu Tian by his name. She had no fear in doing that, clearly indicating that she was also a god. Poison God Datura, you've come on time. Now that everyone is here, let's set off, Lu Tian said expressionlessly. With a wave of his hand, he set off with the Lu family and headed towards the Mo clan aggressively. Lu Tian, don't forget about your promise. I'll help you keep the Mo clan's recruited god busy, and once the matter is finished, I'll be taking half of the Mo clan's wealth, the lady referred to as the poison god Datura giggled. Don't worry, I'll naturally fulfill my promise, just that I can choose what I take. The remainder will all go to you, said Lu Tian. Poison god Datura giggled and glanced at Lu Tian lovingly and said with a rather coquettish voice, Lu Tian, you're so nice to me. I really don't know how to thank you. It's just a pity that you've become so old. If you were still as handsome as you were before, I might even let you go wild on my body one more time. Sigh, it's just such a pity. How did you turn out like that? Look at Mo Ling. He's so masculine. Humph, Lu Tian snorted coldly, and his face became rather sunken. Poison god Datura smiled even more resplendently when she saw Lu Tian's reaction. Her voice was filled with charm, and she said, My little Tian, do you still dwell on the past? You can't blame me. Back then, you were the one who forced yourself onto me. I didn't lure you in purposefully. Enough. Lu Tian came to a sudden halt, and he stared at poison god Datura with a sunken face. He was filled with regret in regards to what had happened in the past. If he had known that her entire body was poisonous, he would have never approached her. Ever since that incident, he had never been able to father a son again. Poison god Datura giggled. She glanced at Lu Tian teasingly before focusing on traveling. She thought, looks like Lu Tian still hasn't gotten over the matter that happened in the past. He still holds resentment for me, so the matter against the Mo clan probably won't be as simple as he described it to be. I have to be careful and not fall for Lu Tian's tricks. Several hours later, the people from the Lu family met with the people from the Ando clan. The Ando clan had also mobilized over 700 Origin Realm cultivators and 6 Godhood elders, so there were a total of 1,600 Origin Realm cultivators, 13 deities, and 3 gods who had set off to wipe out the Mo clan. A group like this could basically flatten the Mo clan. After all, the Mo clan only possessed a single person who was truly a god, Mo Ling, Lu Tian. May I ask who this is? The ancestor of the Ando clan did not recognize Datura, so he asked Lu Tian. This is poison god Datura. She's an acquaintance of mine. I've invited her to take part in the operations against the Mo clan, said Lu Tian. That's fantastic. With 3 gods and other preparations, the Mo clan is done for, Ando Fu immediately beamed with joy. At the same time, he asked Lu Tian secretly, can Datura be trusted? We can't let her know about God King Duanmu's jade. Don't worry, she won't be able to live for long. The mysterious expert invited by the Mo clan is not that easy to deal with, Lu Tian responded without any particular expression. Even now, he felt lingering fear for Jian Chen's profound sword qi. However, he also understood that even if Jian Chen's profound sword qi was some powerful technique and not a treasure, he could only use it once. Ando Fu revealed no reaction to the conversation he just had with Lu Tian on his face. After greeting Datura, he continued on his way towards the Mo clan. They stopped several 100,000 kilometers away from the Mo clan. Lu Tian took out something and immediately, a yellow banner appeared in his hand. I've only bought this treasure after paying a great price in the royal city. It can seal up the space within the range of 1,000,000 kilometers, forming a vast formation that locks up the region. Even gods will struggle to smash through it. The Mo clan will be done for with this treasure, Lu Tian sneered before raising his hand. The yellow banner immediately fused with the surrounding space, which began to ripple rapidly. This lasted for a few seconds before stopping, and in that time, the region within 1,000,000 kilometers had been completely sealed up. Not only did it prevent anyone from entering or leaving, but it even restricted regular communication techniques. In the depths of the Mo clan, Mo Ling was cultivating in seclusion to comprehend the laws of the world so that his strength could improve, and he could reach mid-god. Suddenly, Mo Ling's face changed. His eyes snapped open, and he gazed outside. He became grim and said with a heavy voice, "I never thought that the Lu family would move so quickly. I had thought they would wait for over 100 years before moving." Someone else in the clan sensed the minute changes in the surroundings aside from Mo Ling. Shenjian slowly opened his eyes from absorbing the divine crystals in the 7th hall, and behind him hovered a dark, metal sword. It thrummed by his side. Shenjian stopped cultivating and emerged from his room, arriving before the room where Jian Chen was cultivating. However, he became stunned when he approached Jian Chen's room. "You sure know how to pick times. You're actually breaking through now." Jian Chen sat in the air in his room. Resplendent light moved around in his surroundings as he radiated with surging sword intent. He had entered a state where he was no longer conscious of his surroundings. Chapter 17:10, Pressure. Enemies have arrived. Everyone listen to my command and prepare for battle. Activate the protective formations. At the same time, Mo Ling's voice rolled out thunderously through the clan. His dignified voice possessed much battle intent. "It's the ancestor's voice. The ancestor has emerged. There are people attacking our Mo clan. We even have to activate the protective formations. Who is attacking our clan? Is it the Atomo's sword sect? It's the Lu family. It must be the Lu family. Since the Lu family has moved, they must be working with the Ando clan. Quick, quick. Everyone prepare for battle. First group, stand in formation. Second group, stand in formation. Third group, stand in formation. Fourth group." In the blink of an eye, the entire Mo clan fell into a commotion. All the guards and clansmen moved. They all did what they needed to do, preparing for battle as soon as possible. The protective formations of the clan had been activated as well. A huge barrier rose up and enveloped the entire clan. A few of the Origin Realm members of the upper echelon arrived at the control center of the formations with large amounts of divine crystals. They poured piles and piles of divine crystals into the foundations of the formations so that it could support their operation. 7 people hovered above the Mo clan. They all stared into the distance sternly. They were the patriarch and the 6 elders. Has the Lu family finally begun to move? We were waiting for this day. Lu family, we'll show you the power of our Mo clan. The patriarch stood in the center of the group and sneered. The Mo clan might not necessarily be able to emerge victorious over the Lu family and the Ando clan, but it would not be easy for them to crush the Mo clan either. The elders beside the patriarch were all filled with worry. They all became surprised when they heard the patriarch's words. They were all important members of the clan, so they understood the strength of the Mo clan completely. The Mo clan would naturally have no fear in taking on the Lu family alone, but they would definitely suffer defeat if the Lu family and the Ando clan worked together against them. Their clan might even be completely devastated. They had no idea where the patriarch's confidence came from. "Father, can we make it through this disaster?" Shiyu asked. She glanced past the 7th hall and uncertainty flickered through her eyes. Even though the patriarch was stern, he did not appear nervous at all. He said, won't be easy for the Lu family and the Ando clan to wipe out our Mo clan." "It won't be easy, patriarch. Do we have any other trump cards hidden?" an elder asked. He could not understand just what trump card the Mo clan still possessed, no matter how he thought about it. Although he also knew about Shenjian's existence, he would never believe that Shenjian would be able to fight against gods and be able to turn the situation around. The other elders all sank into their thoughts. They were perplexed. The patriarch smiled silently. "Dad, what's happening?" Mo Yen flew up from below. Her face had paled slightly from fright. She was extremely nervous. The patriarch revealed much love when he saw Mo Yen. Just when he was about to say something, a burly, bare-chested, and bald-headed man suddenly appeared before him. He radiated with a pressure that was enough to cause the elders to tremble. Greetings to the ancestor. Including the patriarch and the elders, everyone in the Mo clan bowed towards the man. Even Mo Yen bowed obediently. Mo Ling arrived before Mo Yen. He was amicable, smiling warmly as he personally helped Mo Yen up. He said benevolently, "Don't be scared, Yenner. The Lu family and Hte Ando clan won't be able to do anything to us even if they work together. Listen to me. Stay below obediently." "Yes, great-grandfather," Mo Yen replied. However, she was extremely curious inside. She thought, why does great-grandfather seem like a different person? He's completely different from before. At this moment, a tremendous presence appeared in the distance. The people of the Lu family and the Ando clan had hurried over. At the very front were Lu Tian, Ando Fu, and Datura, the three gods. They allowed their presences to radiate without restraint, making the clouds churn. Three gods. The elders all cried out as they became extremely grim. Ha ha ha. Mo Ling, it has been over 1,000 years since we last met. I never thought it'd be like this when we meet again. We would have never thought that it'd be like this today. The world really does change, doesn't it? Lu Tian's voice rang out from afar. It was rather cold. Mo Ling gazed at Datura, and his indifferent face finally became stern in that moment. It had indeed surprised him slightly that the Lu family and the Ando clan had actually managed to invite another god to come as well. Had the Lu family revealed the information regarding God King Duanmu's jade? Lu Tian, we meet again. A heavy voice rang out. Shen Jian appeared in the sky with his cloud stream sword, standing beside Mo Ling. The patriarch and elders actually ended up standing behind Shen Jian. However, the elders were not in the mood to bother about these small details now that they faced three powerful enemies. Every single one of them was worried inside. Just how was the Mo clan supposed to stop three gods? Mid-deity. Your strength has increased pretty quickly. Lu Tian stared at Shen Jian and was not surprised at all. During his battle against Jian Chen before, Shen Jian had managed to disturb him a few times with his strength at peak reciprocity. He had even managed to survive after several heavy blows from him. The main reason behind all of this was Shen Jian's comprehension of laws, which was no less than Lu Tian's. It was just that his personal cultivation was too low. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for a mere reciprocity cultivator to survive the attacks of a god. Does Shen Jian and the ancestor of the Lu family know each other? The elders of the Mo clan all became surprised. You are nowhere near my opponent just with your strength at mid-deity. You should call your companion, Lu Tian said disdainfully. He looked around in search of Jian Chen as he secretly grew cautious. In the Mo clan, the person who truly made Lu Tian feel fear was not Mo Ling, but Jian Chen. However, he was unable to find Jian Chen no matter how he searched. The Mo clan was also blocked off by a formation, so he was unable to send his soul in. After all, this was a formation that could block attacks from gods. Brother Shen Jian, why is brother Jian Chen still in seclusion? Mo Ling asked Shen Jian secretly. He also began to worry inside. Jian Chen and Shen Jian were crucial in fending off the Mo clan and Lu family this time. The situation would change if even one of them was missing, especially when three gods had appeared on the opposing side. Jian Chen is going through a crucial moment of his breakthrough right now. We'll make some time for now. Once Jian Chen emerges, we'll be able to deal with everything easily, replied Shen Jian. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.